If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 101, The Lost Hero, 2. What we saw now was Ho-Oh flying in the skies while Lugia was curled up into a ball, buried deep within the sea. Within these two were two big feathers, the rainbow wing and the silver wing. Of course there was some text following it, so I began to read it. Soaring into the skies, leaving the small town and its townspeople behind, in which they called it, Ecruteak City, Ho-Oh began a search for people Ho-Oh found worthy to receive its rainbow wing. Trainers who receive this rainbow wing would have a chance at being granted the title, the Rainbow Hero. The rainbow wing would act as a guide, guiding the trainer to Ho-Oh, granting them a chance to challenge it. As for Lugia, to lament its sorrow for the destruction of the brass tower, it would sail to the sea's storms, quelling the winds to allow seafarers safe travels. Everywhere Lugia went, its cry followed. Trainers who hear this cry are given a chance to be granted the silver wing. Those who bear the silver wing will earn the right to challenge Lugia, guiding the trainer to the land that once was. The text ended there, which caused me to turn to the 12th page. On the 12th page, it showed fated trainers raising the rainbow and silver wing into sky, only for them to shine a bright ray of light into different directions. But what surprised us here was that there was a third figure lurking about, within a forest in the background, as if this figure was beginning to stir awake. After that was more text, prompting me to read it. The rainbow wing and silver wing will act as beacons to trainers who accept the two's wills, bringing them to the two legendary Pokémon for a battle. And yet, should Ho-Oh and Lugia ever form a bond with a soul trainer, the two wings shall form a path. The text ended there, which prompted me to turn to what appeared to be the final page. On the final page showed a green creature of sorts, much smaller than Ho-Oh and Lugia. It could be seen floating above a run-down shrine, deep within a great forest. A soul-fated trainer could be seen in front of it, bearing both the rainbow wing and silver wing. I couldn't help but sigh seeing this Pokémon, as I could immediately recognize who it was. Shall the trainer follow the forged path to its destined end, the guardian of the forest, Celebi, will awake from its slumber, and present 3 trials to the bearer of the rainbow wing and silver wing. By undergoing Celebi's 3 trials, the trainer shall receive the blessing of the great forest, becoming the lost hero, and being granted a chance to battle Celebi. With those final words, the text ended, and so it the pages. That was the final page of this ancient text. It ended off with a trainer standing off against Celebi, which was one of the mythical Pokémon of the Johto region. Seeing this be the end, I turned quiet. Without saying anything, I slowly closed the book, and stood up, leaving the 3 confused. I then turned around, and slowly walked away, leaving the book on the table. Seeing Celebi first brought confusion to Serena, Lily, and Gladion. Yet it took them a good minute to register that I had left the Pokémon Center before they realized it. Serena's eyes turned white as Gladion entered his own thoughts. Wait, Itsuki, Serena called out, realizing that I had left. Could it be? Gladion muttered to himself. As for Lily, she brought the book to her lap, and held onto it. As for me, I quietly walked to the side of the Pokémon Center, and leaned back against the wall. Reaching into my item bag, I rummaged around in it, only to feel 2 soft items. Pulling them out, they were 2 feathers. One shimmered in the light of a rainbow, while the other shimmered in moonlight. These were of course the rainbow wing and silver wing. They were the 2 same wings depicted in the last few pages of that ancient text we just read. And the soul trainer facing off the guardian of the forest, Celebi, who seemingly passed its 3 trials, the lost hero, I uttered softly as I gazed upon the 2 wings. With a movement of my arm, I brought them over my head, raising to the same spot where the bright moon was in the sky. The moonlight shined down on the 2 wings. I was half expecting a reaction here, but sure enough, there was no reaction. The text did call out the right to challenge Ho-Oh and Lugia if one obtained a wing. Perhaps I am to use them separately? And then there was that quick battle I did with Lugia, even conversing with Lugia. Lugia did say I was already acknowledged by the 2, so perhaps the proper challenge had yet to happen. Does that mean I have to seek Ho-Oh and Lugia? Things are getting jumbled together. Why are matters of Johto even happening while I'm journeying through Kanto? I uttered softly. Yet while enjoying some moonlight, it helped calm my nerves. Unfortunately that didn't last long as I heard the pitter-patter of feet, one pair quickly heading my way. Serena made her way here. Ah, Serena let out a quiet voice, seeing what I currently had in my hands. It dawned on her as to what I was probably thinking of. Serena slowly walked up to me, and gave me a hug. You're putting yourself in their shoes, aren't you, Itsuki? A tale is just a tale. Even if it repeats itself, we can be ready for it, Serena said to me with encouragement. Trying to cheer me up, are you? Perhaps I may be looking into this too much. So it really was like this, a third voice said, only for two more figures to appear after Serena. Gladion and Lily arrived. Turns out you had both the rainbow wing and silver wing, Gladion said, looking at the two wings in interest. So that means you've already met Ho-Oh and Lugia, Gladion decided to ask. I did. Though the meeting with Ho-Oh wasn't a personal one. I simply crossed paths with it, but just that alone, Ho-Oh seemed given me recognition and gave me its rainbow wing. However, as for Lugia, it appeared over the Vermilion Harbor while we were in Vermilion City. I had a personal interaction with Lugia with one of my friends, and it gave me its recognition. Yet from the looks of it, I may need to have a proper battle with both to proceed with this path, I explained to Gladion, who nodded his head. Are you, Itsuki? Lily, who stayed quiet during this, decided to ask. You mean, tread down this path to battle Ho-Oh and Lugia? I asked back, to which, Lily nodded her head. Yes. The two must have given you their blessings for a reason, right? I have not seen anyone recently getting recognized by both of the legendary Pokémon, Lily asked. I am not sure, while it does sound like an exhilarating journey to battle two legendary Pokémon, the thing I am fearing is what actually comes after. The third battle, if you will, I explained. The battle with the Guardian of the Forest, Celebi, you'll have to undergo its 3 trials too, Gladion answered. Yes, I replied, only to look back up into the moon. I then paused for a moment, before speaking out again. You see, while Celebi may be more commonly known as the Guardian of the Forest, Celebi has another name it goes by. One that is probably more feared by trainers should they come to know of it. That, Serena tried to say, thinking of what I meant by that. Yet I decided to give the answer before anyone could reply. Celebi, the time traveler Pokémon, I answered. Serena responded, letting her eyes turn wide. The time traveler Pokémon, Celebi, are you implying that you may travel through time once the 3 trials begin? Gladion asked. It is a very good possibility. I do not know what these trials will be, but if I partake in them and should this happen, you 3 should know what will happen to me, right? We won't be able to see you, Serena uttered to herself, which caused Lily to shake a bit. While the book did cover a lot, it didn't cover the entire thing, so there still may be things we don't know. The thought of traveling through time is pretty scary. I don't know if we would be able to handle you not being here, Itsuki, Lily said in a worried voice. That is true. If I meet with Ho-Oh and Lugia again, they may be able to provide more insight as I tread along this path. While it did show a soul trainer going up against Celebi, it did not straight out say the trials would deny companions. So who knows, Celebi may allow our full party go along with it, I said, giving a smile to Lily. So there's a chance we may be able to do the trials with you, Serena's eyes also lit up. Very interesting to how this turned out. But from the way you sounded just now, Itsuki, you are willing to go on this path to battle these legendary Pokémon, Gladion responded. For now, yes. A lot is still uncertain, but the majority of it likely won't happen until we arrive in the Johto region, as that is the home of all 3. Then that means we need to explore the rest of Kanto to our heart's content first. We also have our 4th gym battle coming up in 2 days' time, Serena said happily, clapping her hands together. Yes. We are well prepared for the gym battle. Brother, do you think you can stay to watch us? As Lily asked that, we saw Gladion shake his head. Unfortunately no, I will be departing shortly. I already notified Hobbs to start up the helicopter. But Itsuki did give me a recommendation, Gladion explained. A recommendation? A recommendation for what? Lily asked in curiosity. As a professor to a trainer, Gladion answered. It took a good moment, but surprise appeared in Lily's eyes. Brother, you don't mean? Seeing him decide his path, Gladion gave a smile to Lily and spoke out. Yes. With my investigations currently over now and Alola being in a stable state, I now have free time to start my own journey. I was thinking of starting it in Alola, but Itsuki here gave me a recommendation, Gladion answered, giving us a surprise. So you're going to become a trainer like us one, Lily replied happily. Does that mean you're going to start in Kanto? That's the plan. Even I forget Itsuki is a professor sometimes. Have you ever thought of building a lab somewhere yet? Gladion asked me. Not at the moment. Which is why I will have you fly to Gramps' spot. You can hand him the recommendation I gave. Got it. With that, I'll see you guys around, Gladion said, only to depart. As he left, he waved hand goodbye. So brother is going to start his own journey, Lily uttered happily, seeing Gladion vanish from sight after getting into their helicopter. You must be happy, Lily, Serena also responded with a smile. Yes. I'm happy for him to make that decision. Thank you, Itsuki, Lily said, thanking me. I only gave Gladion a slight push. The rest of it will be up to him. And getting that off my chest, I'm feeling better now too, so why don't go enjoy the rest of today in the Pokémon Center? We can do our shopping tomorrow and visit my big sister's shop, I said. Yes, Lily answered happily while Serena nodded her head. After settling down, the rest of Saturday went by in a blink of an eye. It was good to talk about the lost hero with the girls and Gladion, and who knows, maybe I will be able to do the trials with them. I guess I can say, only time will tell, haha. Bad puns aside, Sunday came and it was now time to do our shopping and visit Daisy's daycare center. She'll be in for a surprise. The gym leader Erica did say Daisy had Eevee eggs, so hopefully we'll be able to get our hands on some. Chapter 102, 3 Pokémon Eggs. The sounds of a door chiming echoed inside of a shop of what appeared to be a cozy Pokémon daycare center. Several young Pokémon originating from Kanto could be seen having fun. As we entered, I heard a very familiar voice, which sounded quite older than the last time we had seen each other. Welcome. I'll be there in just a minute, a sound of a woman's voice echoed in our ears. I guess that chime let her know that she had customers arrive. Coming from the back, I could see a woman enter our view with a gentle smile on her face. She could be seen wearing a white apron. She had long silky brown hair that went down well past her back, almost reaching her waist. 2 large bangs split off that went down the front of her shoulders. She was currently wearing a short-sleeved purple shirt that wrapped around her neck a bit, and simple black pants. A familiar sight I knew all too well, despite not seeing each other these last few years. I greeted the woman, who was none other than Professor Oak's granddaughter, Daisy, aka my big sister. Daisy is the oldest between Gary and I, there is about a 5-year difference between us. A/N, not sure if I aet the age difference to Daisy as 5 years, but setting it now. Yo, Daisy. How has my big sister been doing? Hearing me greet Daisy, it took her a good moment to register who I was. Her eyes turned wide-eyed. Itsuki, Daisy exclaimed. She then dropped the things she was holding and rushed over here, and unexpectedly gave me a hug. She then looked up and spoke out to me. Is it really you? How in blazes did you make it to my store, you big lug? You received a call from gym leader Erica, didn't you? I asked back with a grin. From Miss Erica? Now that I think about it, I did. But she only said that 3 trainers would come in today looking to acquire 3 Eevee eggs. Miss Erica didn't mention it would be my little brother. Seeing Daisy act like this, I smiled. Yet she parted from her hug and started to size me up. A few years had passed since we've seen each other after all. Still, you've really grown, hey? Looks like you already started your journey, since you made here to Celadon City. Anyways, I'm glad you were able to visit my store for the first time. Welcome. Thank you, big sister, I replied. A/N if this was JP, Itsuki would address her as Anaki. You really do look like Professor Oak. I know we've called a few times, but it's nice to meet you, Daisy, Serena said, introduced herself. Now there's a voice I recognize. You must be Itsuki's girlfriend, Serena, Daisy said, greeting Serena. Yes. Along with Itsuki, we started our journey together. So that's how things turned out. I apologize I couldn't be there much during your last Big 5, Itsuki. My final year of studies was almost done, I tried to keep my distractions to a minimum, Daisy responded with an apologetic tone. Haha, that's all right. We had a lot of fun at my party. You would have had a blast. Hearing me bring up my 15th birthday, Serena smiled and at the same time, Lily blushed red. Seeing Lily react like this, Daisy turned toward her. And you must be Lily then. Itsuki's told me a great deal about you as well, Daisy said, greeting Lily too. It's nice to meet you, Daisy. You really run this daycare center here? Sure do. Gramps gave me a loan after my studies were complete to open up shop in Viridian City. Giving it a few years my business ran well enough to pay him off. Being free of this debt, I decided to move to Celadon City. There really are tons of people here who want daycare centers to look after their Pokémon, Daisy explained. Haha, no doubt about that. Gramps really gave you some money to use. He did. Gramps did let me know he personally gave you your starter Pokémon. You two really do call Professor Oak Gramps, Lily retorted. Hehe, Itsuki and Gary must have gotten it from me. It's nice to meet you too, Lily, Daisy said, welcoming Lily. Thank you. I know we just got here, but you aren't busy right now, are you, Daisy? Lily asked. Not currently. Why don't you three stay here for a bit? There's more room in the back to sit down, Daisy proposed. We can catch up since we've nothing much planned today besides visiting the main mall to do some shopping. Our scheduled match with the gym leader isn't until tomorrow, Lily explained. Wait, that sounds like all three of you are going to battle her tomorrow. Wasn't it just you doing the gym challenges, Itsuki? Daisy asked as surprise streaked across her eyes. Seeing this, I looked at Serena and Lily. To answer her, we each brought out our badge cases. Upon opening them, all three of us showed that we currently had 3 badges each. Wow, you guys really do have 3 badges already. If that's the case, do you think I can come watch tomorrow? I'm sure Miss Erica wouldn't mind a guest. Of course it's fine, big sister. You just need to be available tomorrow. Great. With that out of the way, follow me to the back, Daisy said. Can you prepare us some tea as well, Itsuki? On it, I said, following Daisy into the back. Sure enough, we entered a wider area which was equivalent to a living room. There was even a small kitchen in the back. Further outside was a large playground for Pokémon to have fun. In fact, there could be seen a few Pokémon out back currently too. Seeing the kitchen, I got my item bag out and started to prepare some tea for us four. A sweet aroma soon wafted around the room. A few minutes later, we all got around a table and I placed the cups down. After drinking the tea I prepared, our nerves relaxed a great deal. Even I slouched back in my chair. You really do make good tea, Itsuki, Daisy said with a praise, enjoying hers. She then had another look at Lily. It always made me wonder why Itsuki was getting so good at making it during the few times I was able to visit. Hearing that, Lily turned toward me. Daisy did say that you told a lot about me, Itsuki. You didn't tell her what you did at our house during your abroad. I may have left out a good point or two, I retorted. Wait, are you saying Itsuki stayed at your house when he was in Alola, Lily? Partly. Most of the time we bunked at Professor Kukui's place. We would take 1 or 2 days out of the week to stay at my house, Lily explained. Is that so? This is sounding like you've looked after Lily then during your stay in Alola. I did. Learning that was part of my accommodation if I were to progress my professor studies there. As I said that, a light blush appeared on Lily's cheeks again, and she nodded in confirmation. Seeing this, Daisy put her hand on her chin, seeing Lily react this way. And you two look a lot closer than just to be a caretaker, Itsuki. Did something happen while I was not here? Daisy asked. I don't mind telling you, Daisy. It was pretty recent after all. We entered a relationship, so I'm dating Itsuki along with Serena, Lily answered. Hearing that, Daisy's eyes turned wide once more. Lucky guy. So this was the case after all. You three were all in agreement to enter this type of relationship, Daisy asked again. After Daisy asked us, all three of us nodded. Yes. Both Lily and I love Itsuki, so instead of fighting, we entered this route instead. I must say it's been working quite well, Serena answered with a smile. It makes journeying together a lot more fun too. It really does. It's only been a couple of months compared to Serena's couple of years, but it has been enjoyable experiencing this, Lily also said with a smile. Good. As long as you guys are happy about having a relationship like this, then as Itsuki's big sister, I approve of it, Daisy said, giving a thumbs up. Seeing that Daisy is welcoming this, I let out an inward sigh of relief. Mom and Professor Oak know this as well, and it is accepted in this world, which is great. Not everyone has a relationship like this, but for those who want it, it can be done. Now then, returning to why you guys came here. You three are customers. According to Miss Erica, you three are looking to acquire 3 Eevee eggs, Daisy asked. Some time had passed as we relaxed, so she decided to ask if we were sure about it. Yes. We've caught some Pokémon already, and reaching the midway point in our journey, we figured obtaining Eevee could help us round out the typing we may lack for the remaining gym battles we got in Kanto. I explained the situation. Eevee does have multiple evolutions, so it's a good choice to choose from to see what you are lacking. Type effectiveness can carry a long way. You guys came to the right spot too, since Celadon City is known for having Eevee, whether it be in wild areas nearby or through breeding, Daisy explained from her side. So does that mean you do have Eevee eggs available? I asked. We do. Quite a few in fact. I'll have to charge you for them though, Daisy answered. Hearing that, Serena's and Lily's eyes lit up as well. That's fine. Just because we are family, we won't rob you of your business, big sister. Let me know the price for the 3 and I'll pay it at the front. Great. Let me go retrieve them so we can complete this transaction. After sharing some tea and snacks with Daisy, most of the morning blew by in a blink of an eye. We were able to catch up with each other over what had happened these last few years. I also let her know that Gary, Ash, and Green will be starting their journey in 3 months or so. I hope by that point we'll have to return either by with 8 badges already or that we'd be heading to Cinnabar Island for our 7th badge. It didn't take long for Daisy to come out with 3 Pokémon eggs and 3 incubator capsules. I was curious to see how the process was for Pokémon breeding, but Daisy said it was a trade secret among caretakers. So unless I followed in her footsteps, it'd probably be better off not knowing. With eggs in hand we returned to the Pokémon Center. She gave us 3 Eevee eggs that were about to catch as a bonus too. She said it'd take no longer than a week or 2 to hatch them. Knowing this, we'd hatch them likely on our bike ride to Fuchsia City or walk to Lavender Town. Haven't decided which way to go yet, catching some ghost Pokémon did catch our interest. We decided to spend the rest of the day as a date, mainly shopping at the multi-floor Celadon City Mall. After getting all of our shopping needs done for our next stretch of the journey, we are out at a nice restaurant. Sunday came and gone before we knew it. Monday would be our last day in Celadon City, but it might be our most important day of our visit here. It was time to challenge gym leader Erica. Chapter 103, Battle for the Rainbow Badge. Monday, March, year 2910. It was now March once Monday dawned. Today was going to be a rather full day, as we had our scheduled battle today with Celadon City's gym leader, Erica. We quickly got ready in the morning. Making sure we had enough energy for this battle, I prepared a full breakfast for each of us, including our Pokémon. After getting ready, we told Nurse Joy that this would be our last day in the Pokémon Center. The Celadon gym was in the heart of the city, with high-rise buildings surrounding the gym from all sides. The size of the gym itself was not small by any means. Its roof wasn't in the shape of the spherical leaves of a gloom's flower. Instead, it was 5 large hexagon-shaped glass panels, likely to be solar panels. They were bright pink, just as if they were flower petals that just blossomed. Scenic parks could be seen around us as well, with several people playing with their Pokémon as parents watched on. This is definitely the Celadon gym all right, Serena uttered. Let's not be late. We should head on in. As usual, you'll be going up against Erica first, right, Itsuki? Of course. Let's not tarry, I urged the two. We then walked through door. Upon entering the gym, we walked into the reception area. It does look like we are the first trainers to arrive for the day. We could even see a few girls wearing kimonos. In fact, one of them could currently be seen arranging flowers. This caused us to halt. Is that you, Erica? I called out to the familiar girl we met a couple days ago. Oh, Erica responded, which caused the girls to look at us. Glad you could make it. I'm just about done making these flowers. Please hold on for a moment. After saying that, the gym leader finished making her current arrangement. Seeing it was good, she smiled and passed it to one of the girls. The girls had one more look at us before they left. Guess this is good timing. Hopefully we didn't arrive late, I said. As I said that, Erica walked up to us. Not at all, Erica said with a smile. She then saw 3 small incubators currently being held by Lily. To my surprise, Leal asked to look after the 3 eggs during situations like gym battles. Guess she learned to like taking care of Pokémon after raising Snowy. I say your venture must have been successful. Please treat those Eevee with care. Of course. I didn't expect the daycare you would recommend us would belong to my big sisters. Thank you for that. Fufu, you are welcome. It was a surprise to find Daisy Oak moving to Celadon City, but it was even more surprising that you are an oak as well, Itsuki Oak. Haha, I don't have many who call me by that name. Is that so? Shall I continue to address you as Itsuki then? Erika asked. Please, I nodded. Then let us go to the flower garden you three. It will be where we will hold our Pokémon battle. In the middle of flowers, Serena asked. Fufu, I am a grass-type gym leader after all. Please follow me, it is rather easy to get lost in there. Of course. Please lead the way. Erika nodded and we entered further inside the gym. We soon entered fields of flowers and colorful trees. There were even cherry blossoms in full bloom. After walking for several minutes, we soon arrived in front of a giant oak tree and sure enough there was a battlefield here. And to our surprise, we could see Daisy watching on from the side. This brought a smile to Serena and Lily. The two joined her and sat down. We then parted and went to each end, with me being on the challenger's side. The ref was a girl dressed in a kimono as well. Seeing us ready, she announced the rules. This will be a 3-on-3 Pokémon battle, with the challenger Itsuki against gym leader Erika. The one who has lost all remaining Pokémon will be the loser. Trainers, bring out your first Pokémon, the ref announced. With pleasure. I am but a student in flower arranging. I won't go easy on you, Itsuki, Erika said, tossing out her first Pokémon. I am intending to win this batch, I responded back in confidence. It's your turn. Go Tangela, Erika said, letting a green Pokémon full of vines appear. Of course it was Tangela, the first evolution of Tang growth. As for me, I also tossed out my first Pokémon. I'm counting on you, Jack, I said, revealing my first. Firo said, flapping its wings in the air. Tangela responded, looking upward at Firo. Let the battle begin, the ref announced, starting the battle. So you led off with a flying type, huh? Very well, Tangela, lay down your roots. Use Ingrain, Erika said, revealing her first move. Looks like she wanted Tangela to center its ground. Tangela responded, letting several of its vines burrow deep into the ground, allowing Tangela to steal itself. Why don't we test this out? Jack, it's time for an aerial ace, I said my first move. Firo said, before it tucked in its wings. High in the air, Firo flew down fast. Its wings started to glow white. Tangela was actually quite known for its defense, so let's see what this can do. Tangela, brace for impact, Erika said. Tangela steeled itself, holding onto its roots from Ingrain. Firo swooped down. In the next moment Firo's wings struck Tangela head-on. Bang! A loud bang struck our ears as a few leaves scattered from the nearby trees. Tangela took quite some damage from that, but to my surprise Tangela actually held on, grabbing Firo with its vines. Its roots became somewhat dug up, but Tangela was not sent flying. Perfect, Tangela. Firo is now in your grasp. Use a close contact stun spore, Erika said her next move. I frowned hearing this. While Erika may appear graceful on the outside, she knew her moves well. She catches a lot of trainers off guard with her status moves. Quick, Jack, break free with Whirlwind, I said my next move. Firo quickly started to struggle, flapping its wings in the process. As it did, Tangela shook its body, letting spores come out of it, which were orange in color. Thankfully Firo acted quickly enough and broke free, resulting in Tangela getting blasted away with Whirlwind. As a result of Whirlwind being used, Firo successfully blew the spores away, and managed to avoid getting paralyzed. Unfortunately it did seem like Whirlwind did not cause Tangela to get switched out, but Tangela did take some more damage after falling down. You managed to divert that stun spore well, Itsuki. This move of mine causes lots of trainers to switch to their next Pokémon, Erika smiled, seeing Firo now back up in the air. But your Tangela has taken some damage as well. Jack, keep up the momentum. Use Drill Run. Firo said. As it did, Firo started to rotate its full body while still in the air. Drill Run, this is going to strike hard. Tangela, glide along the flowers and strike back with Grassy Glide, Erika said, using her next move. Tangela responded, and despite Tangela being full of vines, it used its grass energy to gain momentum. Firo continued to rotate its body until it became a drill. It had yet to learn Drill Peck, but I was able to train it enough to learn Drill Run. Fearow finished preparing and swooped down again. Tangela used Grassy Glide to quickly maneuver around the flowers. As it got close to Fearow, Tangela actually leapt up into the air. In the next moment Tangela struck head-on against Fearow. Bang! Another loud sound struck our ears. The result was instant too. A red aura appeared the moment the two clashed, signifying that Fearow landed a critical hit. Fearow continued to swoop down, drilling into Tangela until Tangela crashed down hard into the grass below. After the dust settled, Tangela couldn't move any longer, faint circles appeared in its eyes. Seeing Erika's first Pokémon down, the ref spoke out. Tangela is unable to battle. Fearow is the winner, the ref announced. Chapter 104, Battle for the Rainbow Badge. 2. Seeing Tangela down and out, Erika gracefully walked up to it. Erika then squatted down, and patted Tangela. You did well, Tangela. Now, deserve a nice long rest, Erika said with a praise. She then recalled her Tangela and walked back to her position. As for me, I looked up at Fearow and pointed my Pokeball at it. You did well too, Jack. Enjoy a good rest for now, I said, recalling Fearow. Fearow flapped its wings in victory as it got recalled by the red beam. Already recalling your first Pokémon? Your Fearow still seemed to have energy to use, Erika said with interest. I like to spread experience around if I can. Let my Pokémon experience the joys of battle. My next one though may be a bit rowdy. I hope you are prepared. Is that so? Let me witness your next Pokémon, Erika responded as she tossed out her next Pokémon. I did the same and two figures soon appeared before us. One was a rather small blue bipedal figure that had a bulbous flower on its head, separated into 4 large reddish-brown petals. The moment this Pokémon appeared, a bad stench started to strike against the soothing smell of the flowers and trees around us. It seemed Daisy was used to this smell, but I saw Serena and Lily plug their nose with their hand. This caused me to inwardly laugh a bit, but I wouldn't lie, the smell this Pokémon releases is quite bad. Gloom, Gloom said, revealing itself. Of course, it was Gloom who was Erika's second Pokémon. As for mine, a larger bipedal Pokémon appeared before me. Which was a large insectoid. It had 2 scythes for hands and white wings the back that acted similarly to a cicada's wings, constantly flapping. Scyther, Scyther said, revealing itself, which caused surprise to appear in Erika's eyes. A Scyther, quite a rare Pokémon indeed. You must have had a good encounter in Viridian Forest, Erika responded with a praise. It was a fruitful encounter to say the least, I responded with a smile. I see. Then we will set the field to our liking. Gloom use Grassy Terrain, Erika said, revealing her first move. Grassy Terrain, that will power up grass-type moves and heal grass-type Pokémon. This move can definitely make grass-type Pokémon scarier to deal with. Thinking that, I saw Gloom release dense grass energy, spreading out around the whole battlefield. Grass started to sprout, and flowers started to bloom in an instant. Aromas began to waft around us even more, which started to negate Gloom's stench. Seeing this, I decided to use my first move. Scyther, use laser focus. Be ready to launch an attack, I said my first move. SCY, Scyther said, brandishing its 2 scythes. It then tucked them into a cross pattern over its chest. As it did, a red aura began to emit from Scyther's body, signaling that it was powering itself up. Laser focus worked very similarly to focus energy, except there was one key difference. Instead of critical hits landing more easily, laser focus guaranteed Scyther's next attack to be a critical hit. Gloom, before Scyther can do anything, close in and hit Scyther with Venoshock, Erika said her next move. Gloom unexpectedly became serious and actually entered a dash. A clumsy Pokémon like Gloom could enter a dash, hey? Before I realized it, Gloom entered close range of Scyther, and poisonous liquid began to form in Gloom's mouth. In the next moment, it shot out small waves of purple liquid, turning into Venoshock. Seeing poisonous liquid get launched at Scyther, Scyther acted quickly and started to dodge. One after another, Scyther dodged it, but its moving range started to shorten considerably, as the grass and flowers got drenched in poisons. Scyther, good work. Now jump up over the poison and strike Gloom down with dual wing beat, I said, showing my next move. Scyther, Scyther replied, letting its 2 wings start to glow white. Dual wing beat was a move that hit twice upon succession, not letting Pokémon get a breath in. Scyther jumped up quickly, jumping over the poison that was sprayed out from Gloom. Gloom saw Scyther's shadow quickly swoop over its body, causing Gloom to stare at Scyther. Poison stopped forming in its mouth. The gap between the two closed before we blinked, and Scyther struck down with bang. A loud bang struck, hitting Gloom directly for super effective damage. Yet Gloom withstood the impact. At this time, just as Scyther swooped down with its other wing, I saw Erica smile. Now Gloom, use Vine Whip and grab a hold of Scyther, Erica said. Gloom, despite in pain from dual wing beat, Gloom replied in fervor, immediately letting out its vines from Gloom's flower bulb. Since both were at close range, the Vine Whip moved very quickly, fast. Yet just as Gloom's vines were about to latch onto Scyther, I smiled back. Not so fast. Scyther, stop using dual wing beat and use counter, I also said my next move. I was able to teach Scyther how to stop using moves that attacked in succession like dual wing beat, and Scyther was able to do it. The white glow on Scyther's wings quickly returned to normal, only for an orange glow to appear on Scyther's body. Scyther entered a counter stance, grabbing a hold of Gloom's vines, and swung Gloom hard. As Gloom flew at Scyther, Scyther struck down with its scythes, causing another loud bang to echo in the battlefield. Gloom, Gloom yelled out in pain, getting blasted back from counter. It flew several feet away, sliding into the flowers closer to Erica. Yet thanks to grassy terrain, a green glow covered Gloom, a healing light. Parts of Gloom's wounds began to heal quickly. Grassy terrain not only powered up grass-type moves, it also healed them. It was one of the better terrain effects. Seeing Gloom get healed up a bit, Erica spoke out to Gloom. Are you okay, Gloom? Erica asked in worry. Gloom responded in its usual manner, slowly standing back up. Seeing Gloom still good to battle, Erica turned back toward me. So it looks like you were able to see what I was trying to do, Erica said, complimenting me. Yup. You like to get in close range with trainers to catch them off guard with status ailments, right? I was anticipating poison powder next if Vine Whip successfully landed. Thankfully I was able to use counter. Phew, I was not expecting for Scyther to know counter either. Trying to land a hit on Scyther is quite challenging. I was thinking about ending this second battle in the next move, I decided. Is that so? Gloom can't withstand much more, so I'll try to meet up to your expectations, Erica responded in confidence. Hear that, Scyther? Get your scythes ready. We're going to go all in, I said. Scyther responded in fervor, brandishing its two scythes out, and entered an attack stance. Do it, Gloom. Take aim at Scyther, Erica said. Gloom also responded in anticipation. Yet as if Gloom understood Erica's intent, Gloom withstood its stance. It then tucked its body downward, letting its flower bulb protrude out. In the next moment, Gloom's flower bulb started to absorb in sunlight. Solar Beam. One of the strongest grass moves, to the point to where it required time to launch the attack. Scyther, let's go. Close in and use X Scissor, I said my move. SCY, Scyther answered. In the next moment it raised its two scythes, allowing a green coating to cover them, forming two large scythes themselves. With X Scissor used, Scyther dashed forward, flying off the ground swiftly, heading right to Gloom. Yet there was enough time to pass to let the solar beam gather enough grass energy. Solar beam now, Gloom, Erica said her move. Gloom responded. Whoosh! The gathering sunlight burst forth, forming a large green beam of light, shooting right at Scyther. As Scyther sashed in, Scyther attacked Solar Beam head-on with X Scissor. The moment the two clashed, Scyther didn't get blasted back, but it started to take damage. Yet Scyther kept pushing through, slicing the Solar Beam. Scyther actually managed to keep slicing Solar Beam until it arrived at Gloom's side. Scyther then hopped to the right, and slashed down hard. Bang! Just as Gloom's Solar Beam finished, another loud bang struck our ears. X Scissor landed contact on Gloom, causing Gloom to get blasted toward Erica. As for Scyther, it took quite a beating from that powered-up Solar Beam, and several damage marks could now be seen on its body. But Scyther pulled through, and hit Gloom hard. Erica saw Gloom struggle to get up as grassy terrain ended. But its legs couldn't hold on, and Gloom collapsed. Faint circles soon appeared in its eyes. Seeing Gloom unable to battle, the ref concluded the second battle. Gloom is unable to battle. The challenger's Scyther is the winner, the ref said. Erica smiled at Gloom and walked up to it. You did great, Gloom. Please enjoy a good rest now, Erika said, recalling Gloom. Scyther walked back to my side and I also spoke out to it. You did great too, Scyther. You good for a break? I asked. Scyther. Scyther responded with a nod. Seeing this I recalled Scyther. As for Erika, the second battle was over so she spoke out to me. That was a great battle, Itsuki. You raise your Pokémon well. Should I say, as expected of a professor, Erika retorted with a giggle. Ha, perhaps that may be part of it, but we trained quite a bit before coming to Celadon. Guessing this next one will be our last, I asked Erika. It will be. But this last battle will be the toughest of the three. Looks like I'll have to rely on my partner today, Erika said, gently holding onto her third Pokeball. Your partner, you don't mean, I asked. You've met her once already. Erika responded with a smile. So you're going to use that Pokémon, I uttered. This also drew Daisy's, Serena's and Lily's attention. Seeing this, I spoke out to Erika. Very well. If you are going to use your partner, Erika, then I too must respond in kind, I answered. I then slowly reached to grab a certain Pokeball with a different pattern to my others. Chapter 105, Leafeon vs Ninetales. Hearing me say that, a look of interest appeared in Daisy's eyes. What did Itsuki mean by that, you two? Daisy decided to ask. And yet only a smile appeared on Serena's and Lily's faces. That's right. Since you were so busy with school and work you probably don't know about Ember, or did Itsuki tell you about her in your calls over the years? Now that you mention it, that name does sound familiar, Daisy surmised. Hehe, maybe it would be best to show you instead, Lily answered with a giggle. Show me, Daisy asked in interest. Serena looked at Lily for a moment, before nodding her head. Come out, Snowy, Lily said, reaching for one of her Pokeballs. A cute snow-white fox appeared in her lap shortly after. Vulpix, Snowy said happily. This, Daisy said in surprise. Isn't this cutie the same one Itsuki had before I left for school? Daisy asked. The very same, Lily nodded in confirmation. Come out too, Sapphire, Serena also said, letting her Pokeball release a similar cute fox Pokémon. Except this one was fiery red, and not snow white. Vulpix, Sapphire said, happily snuggling into Serena's lap. Lily's was an Alolan Vulpix. One was an ice type, while the other was a fire type. Both polar opposites. We also saw this happen, and Erika guessed what was going on. So that's how it is. I'm guessing you have one too, Itsuki, Erika asked. I do. Come on out, Amber, I said, tossing out Amber's Pokeball. A larger snow-white fox appeared, and this one had 9 fluffy tails, compared to lesser tails Vulpix had. Except this one wasn't solely white, its color was more of a pale purple with hints of blue on Ninetales' fur. Ninetales, Amber said happily, appearing before Itsuki. Amber here has been my partner for years. You said you will choose your partner, so I responded with mine, I said to Erika with a smile. Ninetales, Amber also responded in confidence to my words. I see. Then I will not hold back. It's your turn now, Leafeon, Erika said, tossing out her Pokeball. It revealed her partner Pokémon, Leafeon, the grass-type evolution of Eevee. We ourselves were raising 3 Eevee eggs now, but it made sense for her to be using Leafeon, since she is a grass-type gym leader. Leafeon, Leafeon said gracefully, announcing its presence. As for Daisy, she had a look of surprise in her eyes again. Itsuki's Vulpix evolved, Daisy said in praise, admiring the Alolan Ninetales in front of her. Not only that, she saw Erika's Leafeon as well. She had seen her Leafeon several times since she's visited her perfumery before, but the third battle was about to start. This would also let Sapphire and Snowy to see another battle with Ember. As both sides revealed their Pokémon, Ninetales' ability, Snow Warning triggered. This caused us to look above us. Despite being indoors surrounded by basically a huge garden, dark grey snow clouds started to roll in seemingly out of nowhere. Along with that, the temperature started to drop. Did Itsuki's Ninetales cause this? But I thought Ninetales were fire types. Yours and his look different, Lily, Daisy said. Before long as she spoke, she started to see her breath thanks to the cold. That's because ours are from the Alola region. You know about regional variants, don't you? Pokémon migrate to other lands over periods of time, and they adapt to new environments. Ember and Snowy came from that, Lily explained. Regional variants, I've heard about them before. This is clearly the ability, Snow Warning, so yours is an ice type. Yes, but Alolan Vulpix evolves into a special typing. You'll see it, Lily responded with a smile. Before we realized it, hail started to crash down, hitting the flowers and trees around us. They started to get wet, but not to the point where snow would start piling up. As for me, I was calm during Ninetales' Snow Warning, as I've experienced it several times before. Erica didn't react much either, so she was probably used to various weather conditions due to her experience as a gym leader. A regional variant. This battle will be a grass type against an ice type. Then let us begin, Erica responded with a smile. Ember, start things off with an Aurora Veil, I said my first move. Revealing Aurora Veil, Ember let out a howl. Before we saw it, Ninetales became shrouded in a multicolored light, reminiscent of an aurora. This was basically Reflect and Light Screen in one move. Except the downside to Aurora Veil was that it could only be active during a hailstorm. So once Snow Warning ended, Aurora Veil would end. If this was in the games, it would end in 4 more turns. Since you led off with a defensive move, Leafeon, be careful of the ongoing hail and use Swords Dance, Erica said her first move, which was unexpectedly Swords Dance. Can be quite scary on Leafeon, since it can massively raise its attack power. Leafeon responded, only to emit a red aura from its body. As the aura surrounded Leafeon, 2 swords coalesced in front of Leafeon, and the two danced, crossing over each other. A few seconds later, the swords vanished from sight, signaling that Leafeon's attack power had risen. Let's set the field even more. I won't let you use status moves anymore, Erica. Ember, use Misty Terrain, I said my next move. Ninetales replied. After setting up the Aurora Veil, Ninetales further let out a pinkish color from her body. This pink aura expanded rapidly, shooting out forward in all directions. People often forget Ninetales' other typing is Fairy, Alolan Ninetales is actually an Ice and Fairy type. This gives her access to Fairy moves, and Misty Terrain was included in that move pool. Our surrounding literally became pink. It didn't change the color of the flower themselves, but the grass all around us became pink. Combining this with the ongoing hail was quite the sight. As for what Misty Terrain did, it prevents Pokémon from getting hit by status ailments. It also lessens the power of Dragon-type moves, but I doubt Leafeon knows any. Another thing to note is most trainers forget that terrain and weather effects can actually be combined. Both a terrain and a weather effect can be used together. Only would one use like 2 weather effects, would the first weather effect get replaced by the second. You've really changed the battlefield to your liking, Itsuki. Since it went that way, Leafeon, enter a dash and use Quick Attack, Erica said her next move. Leafeon responded, and crouched its body. Using its hind legs, Leafeon entered a dash, letting a white afterglow appear behind it. Whoosh! Ember, start hitting Leafeon with Ice Beam and trap it, I said to Ninetales. Seeing Leafeon dash toward, Ninetales responded by opening her mouth. Ice energy quickly formed, only to shoot out a jagged blue energy beam. A low screech echoed in our ears every time Ninetales shot out an ice beam. When the first one reached Leafeon, Leafeon used Quick Attack to dodge it to the right, causing the first ice beam to miss. As it did, it struck the pink grass to Leafeon's left, completely freezing it over. Ninetales shot out an ice beam again, and targeted Leafeon's right this time. Leafeon realized that its left side had been flanked, but there was still enough room to dodge once more with Quick Attack. As a result, Leafeon's right side got frozen over. It even nabbed Leafeon's foot a bit, causing icicles to appear. Leafeon winced as a result of getting hit by Ice Beam. But it was only a small bit, allowing Leafeon to continue its dash after breaking free. In the next moment, Erica spoke her next move. Good, Leafeon. Strike Ninetales down with Leaf Blade, Erica said, announcing a powerful move. Probably one of the strongest grass moves along with Solar Beam, and Leaf Blade is a physical move that makes direct contact. A sharp leaf formed in front of Leafeon's head. As Leaf Blade formed, Leafeon struck down at Ninetales. Yet I only smiled, saying my next move. Ember, it's time for a zero-impact blizzard. Ninetales yelled out. All of a sudden, ice energy poured out of Ninetales, whipping up a fast blizzard. Leafeon tried to strike down, and managed to act quickly enough to land a blow in. However, Leafeon felt its leaf blade strike against a hard-like wall, signaling that it struck against Aurora Veil. Aurora Veil started to shatter, but at the same time, Blizzard whipped up more snow around Ninetales, and it struck Leafeon hard. Leafeon cried out in pain, getting whirled away in the blizzard. Another cool thing to note is during Snow Warning, while Hail may not strengthen ice moves, it gives a boost in accuracy. That meant Blizzard never misses. That's why Ninetales had no problem launching such a close-up blizzard. I knew it would land a hit on Leafeon, and looks like it did major super effective damage, revealing damage marks on Leafeon as it landed further away. Oh no, Erica responded in worry. Surprisingly, we saw ice start forming from Leafeon's legs, slowly moving upward. Use Leaf Blade and destroy the ice, now, Erica said her move, acting quickly. Blizzard was actually in the middle of causing a freeze effect, which can happen from time to time, alongside with other ice moves. Leafeon also responded, allowing its sharpened leaf to strike down at its own eggs. Crack! A loud crack shattered on the battlefield, allowing Leafeon to break free from the ice that was forming on its body. Leafeon then jumped up, and landed on pink grass nearby, free from the freeze. It then winced its eyes, remembering that it took damage from the blizzard just now. Good job surviving that blizzard, Leafeon. It's time to turn the weather into our favor, Erica said, preparing her next move. Hearing that, our interest drew to Leafeon. Now Leafeon, use Sunny Day. Leafeon responded in confidence. It then perked its body upward, allowing a fiery red energy to surge forth. This was the only fire-type move Leafeon could learn, but it was a deadly one. Weather changing can happen during battles, and Leafeon did just that. A surge of sunlight burst forth from Leafeon's energy, rising into the air above us. It struck against the ongoing hail, only to clear it shortly after. Hail was replaced by sunny day, and the temperature became warm again. It felt like a toasty summer day inside the gym now. So you can counter weather too, I said with praise, causing Erica to smile. Yes. We gym leaders have lots of situations to handle during battle against challengers. Weather is one such situation. Your blizzards won't be able to land so easily anymore. Unfortunately I can't fix the terrain, Erica explained. She then said her next move. Now that it is sunny, use synthesis and heal up, Leafeon, Erica said her move. Leafeon entered a defensive stance, releasing a bright glow of green energy over its body. Sunlight poured down onto Leafeon, allowing it to heal more than usual. Healing effects to get affected by weather, and sunny day boosts synthesis. Its damage marks received from Ice Beam and Blizzard began to vanish before our very eyes. While I could still use Blizzard again, its accuracy gets returned to normal now that Sunny Day is active. Let's switch things up again. Ember, close in and prevent Leafeon from moving. Use Dazzling Gleam, I said my move. Ninetales responded. Ninetales entered a dash, quickly approaching Leafeon as it continued to use synthesis to heal up. In the next moment, Ninetales arrived in front of Leafeon, and Ninetales let out fairy energy. A bright and powerful flash suddenly emitted from Ninetales' body, striking against Leafeon, who could no longer see in front of it. Leafeon got struck in all directions, causing more damage marks to appear. Dazzling Gleam was a spread move, so it had a wider area of coverage. As the light died down, Erica saw Leafeon take more damage again. You were able to stop Leafeon for a bit, but it's time Leafeon. Launch Solar Blade while Ninetales is up close, Erica revealed her move. Solar Blade, a much more powerful version of Leaf Blade. It acted like Solar Beam, but it was a physical move. It took some time to charge up, but thanks to Sunny Day, it quickly charges grass-type moves like these. Sunlight quickly gathered over Leafeon as Leafeon emitted grass energy from its body. It quickly formed a large green blade. Solar Blade was ready. Time for a Moon Blast, Ember. Strike Leafeon hard, I said my move. Ninetales responded as well, forming a large pink spherical moon. Ninetales let out a howl, and launched the Moon Blast. Solar Blade struck at Moon Blast and the two attacks collided. Moon Blast started to tear through Solar Blade, heading toward Leafeon. Leafeon tried to dodge Moon Blast, but was unable to react in time, and got blasted away by Moon Blast. Bang! A loud bang struck the battlefield, causing Leafeon to fly back at Erica at a fast pace. Using the moon's power, damage marks appeared over Leafeon's body. Leafeon, Leafeon said as it struggled to get up. And yet it felt its energy drain from its legs, and Leafeon collapsed onto the ground. Misty Terrain and Aurora Veil ended simultaneously, causing the surrounding to return to normal. Sunny Day ended not too long after. The cause was the faint circles appearing in Leafeon's eyes. The ref became stunned for a moment seeing Erica's last Pokémon faint, but recovered quickly and announced the result of our battle. Leafeon has lost the battle, Ninetales is the winner. Gym leader Erica has lost all her remaining Pokémon. The winner of this gym battle goes to the challenger, Itsuki, the ref announced the result of our battle. Chapter 106, Halfway. Gym leader Erica has been defeated and the winner of this gym battle goes to the challenger, Itsuki, the ref declared, ending our battle. This was a really fun battle, I enjoyed it a lot. Erica's Leafeon is not to be underestimated. Daisy especially became happy seeing that I won my 4th gym battle. Erica took this time to walk up to Leafeon, who was now lying on the grass. Once Erica reached her Leafeon, she bent down, and patted Leafeon on the head. You did well, Leafeon. Thank you for giving us an enjoyable battle, Erica said to her Leafeon. Leafeon responded, slowly standing back up, and licked her hand. Leafeon returned to Erica's side, and the two walked over here. Ninetales returned to my side, and we waited for Erica to come. I also patted Ninetales on the head. You did great too, Amber. Thank you, I thanked Ninetales. Ninetales responded happily, rubbing her head against my hand. Ninetales returned to my side too. Once Erica arrived in front of me, she reached into her kimono, only to bring out a plate of sorts. This plate had a single groove in it, and it was currently filled with a pretty rainbow-colored batch, in the shape of a flower as if it had just bloomed. I present you the rainbow batch, Itsuki. You bested me, you've earned it, Erica said, presenting the rainbow batch. Taking it, I thanked her. Giving it a good look, I reached into my item bag, and grabbed my badge case. I placed it into the top of the 2 rows. Once the rainbow badge was put in my badge case, it completed the first row. This had significant meaning. Each region had trainers collect 8 badges before one can enter the league championships. I now had 4 of 8 badges to enter the Indigo League in Kanto. These were known as the 8 major badges. In the anime, there existed many other gyms compared to the games. By the time Ash had collected his 8 badges, it showed Gary reaching 10 badges. Any gym not part of the major 8 were known as minor gyms. Minor gyms granted more training opportunities for trainers should they come across uncommon situations in the Indigo League, yet they weren't counted to the badge count one needed to enter. But either way, that still meant my journey in Kanto was now halfway over. I don't have plans to catch that much more Pokémon besides a couple, that being a Ghastly and an Electabuzz. Serena and Lily are also interested in a few. After catching the remainder that we need in our latter half of the journey, we will then consolidate our team as we train and battle the gyms. We are still planning to finish by the time Ash, Gary, and Green start their journey in June after Ash turns 15. And it was now March. Only had 3 months left till that deadline. And since I want to catch a Ghastly to eventually evolve it into a Gengar, our next path has been decided. We would travel east out of Celadon City, head underground through Saffron City again, and explore Route 7 until we reach Lavender Town. That place had the ghost tower to where many ghost Pokémon roam. Even though it was halfway over now, I had already thought of what my final team would look like as well if we managed to beat the other gyms. Blastoise, Arcanine, Mega Aerodactyl, Gengar, Dragonite, and of course Amber, Myolil and Ninetales. I know I have plenty of other Pokémon too, but it's the Indigo League, and I want to use Pokémon found in Kanto, only Amber for now will be an exception to that. Another Pokémon mentioned here is probably one of the rarest in Kanto, Dragonite. Dratini are rumored to be found in Fuchsia City's Safari Zone, but Dratini and its evolutions are found at what is known as Dragonite Island, essentially a living island that mysteriously travels in the waters of Kanto. It is unpredictable, so it will be hard to track down. But each of us do have goals to reach, and training will go along with it. Keeping that in mind, I put my badge case back in my item bag. Erica saw my badges before I put it away and smiled. So that truly was your 4th badge earned. Celadon City does typically mark the halfway point, but there are still trainers who like to do things out of order. Have you decided which gym to take on next? Erica asked. Yes. We will travel to Lavender to catch some Pokémon there and make our way to Fuchsia City. To battle Koga for the Soul Badge, I explained our next destination. Phew, Koga it is then. That fellow can be quite crafty. And you mentioned so you'll still be traveling together, Erika asked, looking at Serena and Lily. Of course we will. You still have to battle Serena and Lily today. Are you still fine for that? I asked. Absolutely. We gym leaders keep around many Pokémon. We receive multiple challengers like yourself during the week. 2 more today shouldn't be a problem. Good. I'll return to the side and watch on. Let me know who decides to go next, Erika said as I walked back to the sideline. Seeing me approach, Daisy, Serena and Lily stood up and smiled. That was a great battle, Itsuki. Thank you for inviting me to see it. I can see the resemblance between you and Dad and Gramps already, Daisy replied with a big smile. Hehe, it just took one battle for you to see that, Daisy, Serena asked with a giggle. Come on now, we can't keep Erika waiting. Serena, Lily, have you decided who will be up next? I said while scratching my head a bit. We already played rock paper scissors to see who goes next. It's my turn, Lily responded. Is that so? Guess you lucked out, Serena, I said with a tease. I'll win next time. Does it really matter who goes next? You guys are way too carefree about this, Daisy retorted. We trained a lot so Lily and Serena can hold their ground. Good luck, Lily, I said. Thank you. Return for now, Snowy, Lily said, recalling her Vulpix. And sure enough, unlike struggling against Lieutenant Surge, Lily really shined once she started the battle with Erika. Lily ended up using Butterfree, Nidorina, and surprisingly her Poplio. Butterfree entered a status war and won. Nidorina persisted in attacking and triumphed. Lily aimed to evolve Poplio mid-battle and it happened. Her Poplio evolved into Bryon and that won her the Rainbow Badge. Serena was last up this time and her battle ended quicker than Lily's did. She had her Kadabra feign some more experience and interestingly enough, Erika and Serena entered a psychic battle, due to Erika selecting Execute. Yet Serena prevailed and won the remaining 2 battles with type advantage, using Torracat and Vulpix. And with that, Erika congratulated us 3 in beating her and earning our Rainbow Badge. Daisy was also happy seeing 3 nice battles. Sadly for her though she had to return her daycare. As she did, I suggested to Daisy for all of us to meet up again at June back at Pallet Town. One way or another we'll be back there for a period of time, and Daisy said she'll try to make time. Bidding Daisy and Erika farewell, it was now just us 3 again. We decided to have a nice dinner while watching various vendors sell their wares. Street food was a thing here and it was very delicious. Nighttime came and I saw Serena and Lily turn quiet after enjoying S day out. We had Nurse Joy heal up our Pokémon. After they got healed we finally made it back into our room. Setting our bags down, with a plop, I laid back on our bed. Yet I still saw Serena and Lily remain quiet. Is something up, you two? I decided to ask. Don't tell me you're tired already. No, it's not that, Itsuki, Lily answered, shaking her head. Don't yell me you forgot. Man, it was super embarrassing to say that to you too, Serena also said with a pout. Say what now? Hearing this, Lily also frowned. Maybe Itsuki did forget about it Serena. He did meet with Team Rocket right after, Lily said while frowning. After Lily said that, I only ended up smiling at them. I suddenly leaned up and got off the bed, which surprised them. All of a sudden, I picked up Serena with my arms, lifting her off the ground, bringing her into my embrace. Ah, Serena replied in surprise, only to have her cheeks turn red. Using my weight, I sat down on the bed again, allowing Serena to snuggle against my chest. How could I forget about what you said to me, Serena? I am very much looking forward to it, I replied softly. Oh it's not nice to tease us like that, Serena said, bringing her head closer to me. As she did, Lily sat down on the bed beside me. Sorry, I replied, only to bend down and give a kiss on Serena's lips. After we parted, Serena looked back into my eyes with a loving gaze. We have now 4 badges and our journey is halfway done. You've been having fun with my butt this last month or so, but I think it's time, Serena said, embarrassed. You don't mean, I asked, only to look down and gaze upon Serena's figure. Serena gently nodded. She then traced her hand along my chest, only for her to reach her way down to my crotch, and started to gently caress it. Yes. I'm ready to experience your love, Itsuki. I don't mind bearing a bit of pain, Serena said, full of love. Is that so? I asked. I then turned toward Lily, who could also be seen with blushed cheeks now. And you're fine with this too, Lily? I asked. Yes. We all love each other and I want to be here for you and Serena. Please take Serena's first time even if it might not be the real thing yet, Lily said with blushed cheeks. Thank you. I love you both. Your turn will come soon as well, Lily, I said with a smile, only to lean in and kiss her too. Lily nodded and because quiet, accepting my kiss. Seeing us start, Serena started to lift my shirt up, taking it off. Chapter 110, After the Fun and a Call. I wouldn't really call this a bonus lemon chapter, just an extra chapter of how Itsuki and Serena dealt with the day after they had S**X. Journey will resume next chapter. The three of us fell fast asleep after experiencing a new world. Serena and I had graduated from being virgins, taking our virginities together last night, while Lily joined in on the fun. Lily had yet to graduate, but she shown keen interest on the matter during the fun last night. Since it went so well with Serena, Lily will soon probably start seeking me to train her butt with those toys they bought. The new morning dawned, letting sunlight shine into our room. I felt refreshed. I know we ended up super sticky before we slept, but Serena and Lily were daring, and licked me clean. Lily was even more adventurous, and licked Serena's butt clean before we slept. And now, we all were cuddling in each other's embrace, with peaceful snores echoing in my ears. I was the first one to wake up. With Serena being the main star last night, I was wondering how she would end up feeling the day after, whether she would sleep in, but it looks like that question just got answered. As I lifted my body up to stretch, I saw Serena's eyes flutter, only to slowly open. Good morning, sleepyhead, I leaned in, planting a quick kiss on Serena's forehead. Right back at you, darling, Serena responded with a smile, which caused me to stop moving. Darling. Well, with all that we did last night, I feel it's appropriate to call you that now, Itsuki. Or do you not like it? Serena asked. Haha, it sure has a weird feeling being called darling, but if you want to you can. I'm not against it, I responded with a laugh. Hehe, I just wanted to see how you would react to it. I'll still call you Itsuki, Serena retorted back. Yet at this time, we actually heard a low grumbling noise coming from one of our stomachs. I looked over, to see Serena's growling a bit. Looks like someone is ready for breakfast, I said. Serena replied back, who was starting to feel strange. Seeing Serena not respond, I turned serious and looked at her, especially since she did not blush at that retort just now. Is something wrong? I asked with a bit of worry. At this time, Serena felt a pang strike inside her butt, causing Serena to sit up in one go. Serena ignored me and got right out of the bed. Oh mother of Arceus, Serena said, letting out a rare curse. I suddenly saw Serena use her hands to hold her butt in place, and started to make a mad dash toward the bathroom, quickly shutting the door. I almost forgot how we experienced that new world last night. I guess something like this was bound to happen as a result. Is everything all right? Lily's voice suddenly said, also containing worry in her voice. I looked over, and saw Lily now awake and was now sitting up like me. I think so, I replied, unsure. We were then interrupted by continuous tooting and farting noises coming from the bathroom, only to end in a sigh of relief from Serena. Yet as these noises continued, it started to bounce off the walls, creating an echo. A blush appeared on Serena's face as she did her deed, and yelled out to us behind the closed door, realizing how loud this was. Ah! Don't you two dare listen to this, Serena yelled out with a complaint. Haha, a bit too late for that, I yelled back with a retort. Serena didn't say anything more. A couple moments passed in awkward silence before she finished, ending in more sighs of relief. Serena flushed the toilet once she was done, causing me to sigh on relief too. Yet it appeared another problem soon arose after her deed was done. Oh, Serena replied again behind the door. What is it now? I asked in worry. I think my legs gave out on me, Serena replied, trying to stand up from the toilet. Yet every time she did, she felt no strength in her legs. Perhaps the urge for the toilet from earlier caused Serena to ignore this, but each time she tried to move now, her hips would feel slight pain. A likely result from last night. I think I know how we can fix that, I replied, only to stand up from the bed. Lily watched on with interest. I walked to the bathroom and Serena saw me rattle the doorknob. The moment I opened it, we were blasted by Serena's deed, causing me to waft the air with my hand. You really did a number in here, didn't you? I asked before I headed inside. Hearing this caused Serena to blush. Don't smell it, you idiot. Are you going to help me up or what? Serena asked. One hug coming right up, I answered. Ignoring the smell, I approached Serena. Swooping one of my arms down, one arm scooped under Serena's legs. Oh, Serena said in surprise, only to see her get lifted up into a princess carry. Seeing this, Serena placed her head onto my shoulders and felt my warmth. I soon saw her calm down. Feeling better, I asked Serena. Yes, sorry for putting you through this. Serena replied apologetically. It's no problem. I had a feeling we may have had to push back continuing our journey by a couple days, depending on how you felt after our fun. And from the looks of it, you're going to need lots of rest. It's Tuesday now, but we probably won't leave for Route 7 until Wednesday based on your reaction, I explained. Well, whose fault do you think it is for making my butt and hips so sore last night? I didn't say you had to be gentle, but I didn't think the after effects would be this bad, Serena said, only for her to place her arms around my shoulders. It felt good though, didn't it? Yes, Serena replied happily. Good. Now let's get you back into bed. Your only job this next day or two is to recuperate. You can't battle Pokémon like this, I said to Serena in a serious tone. I understand. Sorry for imposing you in this. I'll try to recover in a jiffy, Serena reassured me. Walking back out into our room, I closed the bathroom. I then placed Serena back into the bed, and placed the sheets over her, tucking her in. I also saw Lily sitting at the table nearby now. You'll help watch over Serena too, won't you, Lily? Of course. Leave it to me. Excellent. I'm going to go get us some grub and let Nurse Joy know we'll extend our stay by 1 to 2 days. I'm also going to give Gramps a quick call on our progress. Got it. Don't forget to freshen yourself up too, Lily said. I then looked down, only to realize I was still naked from last night. Lily was too. We decided to use the shower to get dressed and cleaned up for the day. After coming back out, we saw Serena with her head propped up against the bed now, with the TV remote in her hand. Lily decided to prepare tea as Serena turned on the TV, tuning into the local news. Seeing the two get settled, I left the room, quickly making my way down to the first floor. I let Nurse Joy we will be staying for a couple more days and she happily obliged. I asked to use one of the PCs for a call too, and she said it was fine. I walked up to the one at the furthest end, and turned the PC on. After some clicking, a ringing sound soon echoed. Ring ring ring. Click. A video soon appeared on screen, revealing Professor Oak seated at his table. He currently had chopsticks in his hand, and was literally blowing on some ramen as the video appeared. Yo, Gramps, I said, speaking out to Professor Oak with a grin. I saw Professor Oak blink for a moment before realizing he heard a voice. His eyes then turned forward to the screen, and saw me. Well, if it isn't Itsuki, my boy. I was about to dig into some ramen as you see. Did I call at a bad time? Nonsense. You can call me whenever. A little Pidgey told me you earned your 4th badge yesterday. Haha, word travels fast, doesn't it? Congratulations are in order. But it will only get difficult from here on. Be especially careful for Sabrina. She can be a rather nasty one with her psychic prowess, Professor Oak said, giving me a warning. I nodded, taking his warning seriously. Among the 4 gym leaders left, I was considering Sabrina to be the most dangerous. There is Giovanni with his armored Mewtwo now in the mix, but I'm not sure he will use Mewtwo. Yes. We will be traveling to Lavender Town to catch some Pokémon before we make our way to Fuchsia City to challenge Koga. We will probably be heading out in 2 days. 2 days, hey? The road to Fuchsia is quite the long one, so I may not expect another call from you for a while. Yes. After this call, we probably won't reach out until we are heading to Cinnabar Isle. Can you let Mom know we will stop by home then and when Ash turns 15 to celebrate his last Big 5? Can do, my boy. Pallet Town is in such a neat spot to where you can make a short visit or return home while on a journey. Ash, Gary, and Green will be especially happy knowing you guys will be returning home soon. Probably in a month or 2, right? Professor Oak asked. That's the plan. 2 visits, and the second round is when we'll hopefully have all 8 badges. Ho ho, 8 badges in 5 to 6 months, not many trainers can progress in such speed and effectiveness. And from your tone, you seem a bit more mature now. Did something happen? Professor Oak asked, taking notice of me having a different air. Should I tell him about Serena and Lily? It would be best to tell my family at least, right? Professor Oak was already able to quickly call it out too. Taking in a deep breath, I nodded. I won't say much, but Serena and I decided to deepen our relationship last night. Lily was in on it too, but she mostly watched, I explained a bit to Professor Oak. I then saw him grin. HOH? So Itsuki, my boy, finally got the taste of the forbidden fruit, eh? Have you told Violet yet? Professor Oak responded while grinning. Not yet, I don't know if I should even break this news to her. Ho ho, it's a good thing you let me know first. Violet was quite protective of you and Gary. If it were me, I'd probably not bring it up. You do know that Lily's mom gave us her blessing though, right? I do. She mentioned about formalizing the marriage between you three should you all enter the Indigo League successfully. And you're already halfway there. Yup, I still want to do a special proposal to the two though. Is that so? Have you decided on when or where yet? I have. Let's just say the proposal I want to achieve won't happen in Kanto, I said, giving a teaser to Professor Oak with a smile. Ho ho, well, it seems you already have an idea in your head. I will wish you luck in getting your remaining badges. I won't expect another call until you guys are ready to head to Cinnabar Island. Thank you, Gramps, I responded. Now let's dig into this ramen, Professor Oak smiled, picking up his chopsticks again. Click. The video call ended, leaving me alone with a smile on my face. That went well, I thought to myself. I won't bring up the matter involving Giovanni for now, since Lance is directly involved with that, and the fact that Lucamine was the one who gave me that mission, so my lips are kept shut and would only report to her, I continued to think. Still, these next 1 to 2 months will go by before we know it. I'm already looking forward to returning back home again. I happily thought to myself. Thinking that, I suddenly felt my stomach growl, feeling hungry. Haha, I guess it's time to go get some food for us. Hopefully it won't take long for Serena to recover, I smiled, getting up. Chapter 111, Paldea. Chapters are back. Oh. My other fanfic is now in a stable position, and I'm currently on pace to combining both into a weekly schedule. Thank you guys for your understanding. I do appreciate the love shown through the follows during this quiet period, smiley face. If you like the return of my Pokémon fanfic, I want those power stones to soar. Asterisk. 2 full days of rest later. Even though it was just 2 days for Serena, Lily, and Itsuki, it had already felt like an eternity had passed. If there was one difference, both Itsuki and Serena had a different charm to them. Lily had yet to display it though. Still, it feels like they had taken a step forward, even though the two knew very well the real deed had yet to be done. Serena's voice echoed, signaling the next day. As for me, I could already be seen awake, and brewing some tea for the morning. Looks like you slept well, Serena, I said, seeing Serena wake up. To her left, Lily could be sleeping next to her. With one arm over Serena's chest, Lily was snoozing away peacefully. Sapphire and Growlithe could be seen sleeping peacefully on the pillows at the head of the bed. Since the fun time we had was already spent, we were able to bring out our Pokémon again. Ember and Snowy could be seen resting more toward the table in the center of our room. Ember specifically had been rewarded with many berries of her favorites, as she performed well during the badge fight I had with Erica. As Serena shifted body upward, the covers shifted downward, revealing Lily in her splendor. This caused me to look downward at her, as she could now be seen bare. Serena grinned as she saw me look down to observe Lily's splendor. Like what you see? Serena asked with a grin. Very, I answered back, reaching in to give Serena a quick peck on the lips. I made sure not to disturb Lily to wake her up. Tea's almost ready. I'm going to go down and make some flight reservations in a bit, I said, which caused Serena's eyes to turn wide. A flight, huh? It makes sense, considering both Fuchsia and Cinnabar Island are so out of the way, Serena said, nodding her head. Unless you'd rather take Kanto's famous cycling road, I decided to offer another suggestion. Serena's eyes sparkled the moment I uttered that. You mean the cycling road that are only permitted by cyclists and it's pretty much a built highway specifically for them? Serena's eyes sparkled. The very same. Though if we do that, I want to make a quick detour to Lavender Town to catch some ghost-type Pokémon. Afterward, we'll cross back into Celadon and take the cycling road, I said, determined. Morning, what's this about a cycling road? Lily's voice suddenly reached out to us as Lily rubbed her eyes a bit. Looks like you're up now. Good morning, Lily. We were just deciding on which path to take to Fuchsia, I said, giving a quick peck on Lily's lips as well. Seeing me suddenly do this, Lily dazed for a moment and slightly blushed, but nodded her head. At this time, the brewing pot of tea started to steam, making a loud noise, signaling it was now ready. Let's go get freshened up, I said, only to look at Amber, who was now awake, along with the other Pokémon. Amber, look after the others, okay, I asked her. Ninetales responded in acknowledgement. The three of us then promptly headed into the shower. 15 minutes later, with several sounds of running water, Serena, Lily, and I came out, feeling refreshed for the day. Pouring tea for us, we gathered around in the middle of the room at the table. Setting bowls down full of berries for our Pokémon, we grabbed the remote to the room's TV and turned on the news. Unfortunately, just after a few moments, we heard a knock at the door. Professor Itsuki? I hate to disturb you guys, but you have another call pending from Professor Oak. He told me to contact you as soon as you guys were free. I do apologize for this suddenness, Nurse Joy's voice called out to us, causing our heads to turn toward the door. Professor Oak? It's strange to see him reach out to us, considering our last call would be our last for a good while, I said in wonder. Perhaps he forgot something, Serena questioned. You'll take it, won't you, Itsuki? Lily asked. Of course. I always answer Gramps' call, I answered with a smile. Oh, Professor Oak additionally said your party can come with you this time, Nurse Joy continued to say, only to hear her retreating footsteps shortly after. Something Professor Oak has to speak to all of us about, Serena asked. I wonder what it could be, Lily also wonder. I don't know either. So let's go see what Gramps has to say. Let's go call back our Pokémon too, I said, which caused Serena and Lily to nod their heads. After enjoying warm tea and some light breakfast, we recalled our Pokémon and tidied up the room, as this will be the last day we spend in Celadon City for now. But before we could depart, it seems Professor Oak still had something to say, so we made our way back down the main floor of the Pokémon Center, and greeted Nurse Joy, giving us access to one of the computer terminals. We made our way to the farthest one in the corner, and secluded ourselves. Picking up the phone, Serena sat to my left while Lily sat to my right, and the screen turned on. On the other side, it suddenly showed Professor Oak currently holding some tea in his hands, taking a sip. Good morning, Gramps, I said, which caused Professor Oak to blink at the screen he was looking at. Thankfully he didn't fumble his tea and gently placed it back down at his desk. So you were able to answer this sudden call, Itsuki my boy, Professor Oak happily said, only to shift his eyes to Serena and Lily too. And it seems you have Serena and Lily with you. This is good, Professor Oak continued to say. It's been a while, Professor Oak, Serena said, greeting him. Yes. Good morning to you, Professor Oak. I do wonder what it is you were trying to reach out to us for, Lily also said with a nod. Well, that's the thing. I almost forgot I have another seminar I'll be attending to in a bit. I plan to depart from Pallet Town next week, Professor Oak explained, which drew our interest. Another seminar, hey? You don't hold those too often, I responded. Right? Well, here's the kicker. I won't be alone this time. I'll be going to your place actually, Serena, Professor Oak said, shifting his eyes back to Serena. You mean you'll be going to the Kalos region? Serena asked with interest. Well, that's the first stop, but I will be heading to Kalos, to meet with Professor Sycamore. We'll be hosting a seminar to where I'll discuss the behaviors of Pokémon during a Mega Evolution. It hasn't been too long since Professor Sycamore revealed his thesis about Mega Evolution, and now that Mega Rings are beginning to circle around the market, I figure this would be a prime opportunity to make trainers more self-aware about the dangers of Mega Evolution, Professor Oak explained. ACO seminar with Professor Sycamore. I still need to thank him for providing us his first round of Mega Rings, at least to me, I said, revealing a smile. It sounds like you'll be busy then, but from the way you said that, it appears just going to Kalos isn't your only destination in mind, Lily asked. Ho ho, so you picked up on that. That's right, Kalos is just our arrival spot. Once I meet up with Professor Sycamore, we'll actually be heading off to another place. It's a region further down to the southwest of Kalos, but it's still relatively close by, Professor Oak said, answering Lily. Another different region? Strange, I haven't heard of anything that was close to Kalos, I said in wonder. Most don't, considering it's a relatively closed-off space. The only way to get there is by boat, or if you directly fly there. There is a peninsula which connects the two, but its mountainous regions are pretty steep to traverse, so most trainers avoid setting foot in that place. It's a singular island, unlike Alola to where it's a string of islands, Professor Oak continued to say. Have you three of you heard of Eevee Academy? Professor Oak decided to ask us, to which we quickly shook our heads. Eevee Academy? It doesn't exactly ring a bell to me, I denied Professor Oak. Me neither, Serena also said, shaking her head. Neither for me as well. If it was a well-known school, I'm sure my family would have put it up for consideration to study it, Lily also said, shaking her head. Ho ho ho, well that's because its Director Clavell does not allow any foreigners to attend the school, and only extends out invitations to join should he make an exception. It's mostly for the island natives. It did struck my mind to send you one during your school studies, Itsuki, but it is pretty far away from Pallet Town, and considering the fact you were already learning alongside Lily, I did not put it up for consideration at the time, Professor Oak explained. An academy solely used by its natives, it does sound rather intriguing. From the way you are putting it, you and Professor Sycamore are going to go host a seminar for Eevee Academy's students, I surmised. Bingo. Since it's so out of the way, I may be gone for a good month or so. But I'll be sure to make my return before you guys make your return trip to the backside of Pallet Town on your journey. You're still estimating it to be around June, right? Professor Oak asked. That's the plan. It's approaching April, so we have a good 2 months before we arrive back in Pallet to celebrate Ash's birthday, along with the others, I answered, nodding my head. If you guys weren't in the middle of your journey here in Kanto already, I would have taken you guys with me, ho ho ho, Professor Oak responded with another chuckle. And get this, Eevee Academy runs things a little bit differently. Unlike most schools to where one attends to achieve their desired job or become a trainer, you must be a trainer, or an aspiring trainer to attend Eevee Academy, Professor Oak said. A school solely for trainers. Serena said in excitement. Pretty exciting, isn't it? A trainer's studies coincides with their journey itself, to find where they are to belong. It isn't the only trainer school out there though, considering we have many regions available to us, Professor Oak explained. At this time, a glint of light streaked across his eyes, as if he remembered something. Oh right, how could I forget that too? The place where Eevee Academy belongs to is called the region of Paldea, Professor Oak continued to say in excitement. The Paldea region, I uttered to myself, showing excitement as well. This was a region I wasn't familiar with, so it looks like there are still many things hidden in the Pokémon world that we have yet to come across. Hey? Chapter 112, Departure. Well, I mostly wanted to let you know I will likely be out of reach for a while. Since that is the case, I will give you guys a couple warnings. The latter half of Kanto is a far cry from the first 4 gyms. There has been increasing worry with Saffron's gym leader, to be specific, the gym leader Sabrina. She has started to attack trainers directly and more frequently, should she find them displeasing during battle, Professor Oak's voice said, suddenly turning into a serious tone which caused us to blink for a moment. And the league allows that? Lily asked, obviously worried. Unfortunately, yes. Psychic trainers are that of a rarity right now, much less sporting enough strength to be a gym leader. Most of the time Sabrina's attacks aren't life-threatening, but she has induced a person or two into a coma before. Her heart is in the right place, but she can get angered, rather quickly. She also can't express her emotions well either, Professor Oak continued to explain. Definitely sounds like a problem person if you ask me, I responded, expressing my own worry too. We will have to proceed with caution when we reach Saffron's gym. Sabrina's the 6th, right? Lily questioned. Yeah. Before Sabrina is Koga, while Blaine and Viridian's gym leader are the last 2, I answered Lily. You'll likely be going up against Koga next. He's a rather crafty fellow. In fact, he's been recommended for one of the Elite Four's spots before. If the Elite Four positions weren't currently filled, he would have likely joined the next available slot, Professor Oak said to us, causing us to become surprised. A gym leader who was recommended to an Elite Four position, that's hardly what we have faced so far, Serena said, worried. Oh right. Have you guys decided on which path to take to Fuchsia? Professor Oak asked us. We have. We'll be taking the cycling road, Serena immediately responded to that question as her eyes sparkled. Haha, as you can see. A certain someone's a little excited, I chuckled, revealing a grin. Ho ho. Well, it's to be expected of as the daughter of Kalos's famous Pokémon rider, Professor Oak laughed with a smile. I don't think I've rode a bicycle either, so it'll be a new experience for me too, Lily said with an anticipated look in her eyes. Yet. You'll be pairing up with me with a double-seater since you haven't rode one before, I also spoke out. Is that Big Brother's voice I hear? A voice suddenly called out to us from Professor Oak's side. I knew this voice all too well. Is that you, Ash? I suddenly spoke out from our side. To respond to my voice, we saw a shadow of a figure quickly reach Professor Oak's side, only to reveal a black-haired boy who seemed our age. And in fact, he actually looked his age instead of having that youthful look he did back in each anime season. Hee, you betcha it is. Professor Oak here says you guys are already halfway through Kanto. Makes me kinda jealous seeing your progress when we haven't even started yet, Ash said, revealing a grin of his own. Surely you have your badges, right, Big Brother? Ash continued to ask. We surely do, I responded. I took a second to look at Serena and Lily, and we all nodded, only to retrieve our badge cases from our bags. Opening each one, Ash saw 4 repeating badges, signaling that we each beat 4 gyms so far. So cool, Ash responded in excitement. I'm already looking forward to starting our journey in a couple months along with Gary and Green, Ash continued to say. In the meantime, you'll help watch over the lab along with that grandson of mine, won't you, Ash? Professor Oak shifted his head and asked Ash. Of course. It's the least I can do considering the studies you've helped me with to progress my classes, Ash said, nodded his head. That's right, you're just about done with school. Don't tell me you're actually graduating with Gary and Green, Serena replied with a grin. Hey! I can take those exams perfectly fine. I know when to use my head, Ash responded with his own retort. After Ash retorted that, it caused Lily to giggle a bit. I also laughed. Haha, well good luck with the rest of your classes, Ash. You may not see us until we're back in Pallet Town in June, so stay safe, okay? I asked with a hint of worry. Of course, Big Brother. I wish you guys the best of luck in your remaining gym battles too, Ash responded with a smile. I second that. Good luck out there you 3, Professor Oak said with a nod of his head. After saying that, he proceeded to end the call there. Seeing the call end, I slouched back in my chair a bit, letting out a sigh. Ash really is such a good kid, I uttered. He isn't that brat we once knew anymore, that's for sure. It sounds like he's been learning plenty in the school he's currently going to, Serena also said, chiming in. It is possible we'll encounter them once they start their journey too, Lily also said. Well, either way, this was still a lot of info to take in. Celadon is quite famous for its parks, so why don't we go lay out a blanket and let our Pokémon roam around for a bit and enjoy some lunch there? Afterward we can head out and we'll take the underground passage this time to reach Lavender Town, I said, giving another suggestion to Serena and Lily. It has been a few days since we were able to let our Pokémon get a good stretch in, so I'm all for that, Lily responded happily. Let's get going then, Serena said, clapping her hands together. We promptly left the computer area, returning to the counter. Thank you for letting us take that call, Nurse Joy, I said, thanking Nurse Joy. It was no problem at all, Professor Itsuki. It does look like you guys are about to head out, so why don't I take this time to heal your Pokémon? The more energy they got, the better after all, Fufu, Nurse Joy responded with a laugh. With pleasure, I responded while Serena and Lily nodded their heads. Nurse Joy called in her Chansey to give us a few empty trays to place our Pokeballs inside. Once they were all filled in, Nurse Joy went to her healing machine and worked her magic. In no time at all, our Pokémon were fully healed and raring to go, despite most of them being already healed. It never hurts to ensure they are in top form for when we depart from Celadon City. With that said, we bid farewell Nurse Joy and left the Pokémon Center. Proceeding to the several parks more close to the center of Celadon which gave a pretty nice view with all the high-rise buildings surrounding it, we chose an empty spot near one of the shaded areas, and laid out our blanket. After calling out all of our Pokémon, the people and trainers nearby were stunned to see so many Pokémon called out at once. A couple even recognized who I was, but seeing us tend to our own, they were left to their own devices. We were able to eat a nice lunch this way. It was well into spring right now, so with a gentle breeze and the warm sun, it was a time well spent. With full bellies, we knew it was time to leave Celadon. The next time we would come back, we would take the cycling road in the left exit, and bike our way to Fuchsia. However, with our current goal in set, our next was now Lavender Town. Or to be specific, the Pokémon Tower, a resting place to where deceased Pokémon are laid to rest here in Kanto. It was also a popular hangout spot for ghost-type Pokémon. It was time to go catch some ghost Pokémon. Chapter 113, Pokémon Tower. Bidding Celadon City farewell for now, Serena, Lily and I made our way to the underground passageway that went straight underground through Saffron City, landing on the outskirts of Lavender Town, on Route 7. There were a couple biker gangs roaming about. They seemed interested in our arrival and prompted a couple Pokémon battles. Both Serena and Lily wiped the floor on them, and seeing how one-sided it was for them, they couldn't help but retreat on their motorbikes, granting us a safe passage through Route 7. There wasn't anything notable on this route to catch, either. Besides your common Rattata, Oddish, and Bellsprout in the grass, every so often a wild Growlithe or Vulpix would show up. There were Mankey in this grass as well, but catching one did not interest us at this time, even though it was one of the few fighting types in Kanto. Looking back to how Ash's Primeape behaved, yeah no thank you. He can deal with Primeape's anger issues like he did in the anime. I bet several hats were sacked off in the process, haha. Once we came across the grasses clearing which revealed a hidden garden of sorts between tall trees, we soon arrived at Lavender Town's west entrance. However, the closer we got, it appeared fog started rolling in, making our view somewhat obscure. Serena frowned seeing fog suddenly start rolling in around us. Weird, it isn't every day fog like this rolls in. Also, what is that huge bleak tower in the distance? It seems so peaceful, for some reason, Serena said with concern as she looked onward, spotting a huge tower with fog shifting in and out of it further into the distance in Lavender Town. If I recall, that's the Pokémon Tower, isn't it? Lily questioned, tilting her head a bit. You're right on the dot, Lily. What you two see is the Pokémon Tower. When a Pokémon passes away, their trainer brings them here to lay them to rest, or so the story goes. This fog makes this tower both eerie yet peaceful in appearance at the same time. I am sure many of its deceased Pokémon are peacefully at rest right now, I said, answering Serena and Lily. So that's what this tower is for. I do know Pokémon do pass away. It does bring sadness to their trainer, but I guess this place can give some sense of closure. Hey, Serena said in wonder. You can look at it that way, Lily said in agreement as she nodded her head. For me who couldn't even touch Pokémon in the past, I've already grown so attached to Snowy. It would sadden me greatly if I were to lose her, Lily said, containing a hint of sadness in her voice. Hearing Lily say that, I placed my head on her head and ruffled her hair a bit. Feeling this, Lily smiled as she enjoyed my warmth. You two want to go pay your respects to the fallen? I decided to ask. Yeah. I know Pokémon live differently from us, but the least we can do is pay a visit to the Pokémon Tower to give our prayers, Serena said, nodding her head. It is also the site to where the ghost Pokémon are, right? I am sure there are many graves in there, so the energy surrounding them must certainly attract those Pokémon, Lily continued to ask. That's what they say. We'll likely see the Jengar line there, but I am curious to see if we will see ghost Pokémon from other regions lingering there as well, I responded to Lily. Shall we make our way to the Pokémon Center then? Look, we are pretty close to the main street now, and it's not too far away on the left side, Serena said, pointing her finger out ahead of her. As we traced her gaze, sure enough, we spotted Lavender Town's Pokémon Center. Seeing the Pokémon Center now in our view, we decided to continue walking, and entered Lavender Town. It wasn't as big as a city like Celadon was, and most of the buildings was possible to reach on foot. There were not many people out and about either, likely due to the constant fog around. When we saw someone walk out, they tended to their own business, only to shortly vanish after, acting as if they weren't there in the first place. We paid this no mind for now, and entered the Pokémon Center. Oh? It's rare to get visitors here in Lavender, Nurse Joy's voice said, calling out to us. So it is a Nurse Joy after all, I said seeing Nurse Joy greet us. We just encountered one of your cousins a couple days ago, I continued to say. Oh my! You three must be trainers then. Trainers don't come by here too often, seeing as this town is one that slumbers. They tend to just pass right through and make their way to the south, Nurse Joy said, placing her hand on her face. You must be referring to the Pokémon Tower, right, Nurse Joy? That is pretty much the main reason why we've come here, Serena explained our end. The Pokémon Tower, hey? I hear that recently it's been crawling around with one of those, a voice said, calling out to us. You know, a ghost, the voice continued to say. Hearing this voice of a man, we turned around, only to see a couple chattering not too far away from us. The man could be seen looking at us now as he spoke that. A ghost? You mean ghost Pokémon, right? I asked the man. Surprisingly, he shook his head, denying me. Not that. I mean an actual ghost. Like a spirit, the man said, containing a hint of fear in his voice. A spirit, in the Pokémon Tower, Lily asked, confused. Yet. Its sighting has already been confirmed by many who visit the Pokémon Tower, the man said, nodding his head. Strange, for an actual spirit to appear, they aren't Pokémon. If he is referring to a spirit, then he must be referring to those actual ghosts that appeared in my past life. This man couldn't be referring to that. Is he? Wondering that to myself, Serena continued to speak. Is what you say true? Serena asked. That a spirit is lingering in the Pokémon Tower, Serena continued to ask. After Serena asked that, the light brown-haired man nodded his head in acknowledgement. Yet. I've personally not seen it, but everyone who has confirmed the same thing, the man said, answering Serena. I haven't seen you three here before. Are you three interested in visiting the Pokémon Tower? The man continued to ask us. We do have plans to enter it to pay our respects to the dead. Are you going to give us a warning? I decided to ask. Well, Lavender Town is famous for its cemetery inside the Pokémon Tower, many people to offer their prayers there, the man said, answering me. The cemetery sure is inside the Pokémon Tower, the girl said, speaking for the first time who was next to the man. After saying that, the girl approached one of the nearby windows, only to look out and see the Pokémon Tower in the distance. When a Pokémon passes away, their trainer carries them there, the girl continued to say. So it is like that, Lily said, nodding her head. People from all over Kanto must come here to bury them, right? Lily decided to ask. That's right, the man said, arriving at the girl's side again. About that ghost you mentioned earlier though, Serena began to say. Is it actually a Pokémon? Serena asked in wonder. That's right. A spirit of a Pokémon who has passed away has been spotted, more than once might I add, the man answered. There's no way actual spirits exist though, right? The girl said, revealing a nervous laughter. Hearing that caused us to chuckle as well. As Serena, Lily, and I looked at each other for a moment, we suddenly heard the couple turn quiet. Unexpectedly, when we turned our heads to look at them again, the couple was no longer there. They had completely vanished, as if they were never there in the first place. Both Serena's and Lily's eyes turned wide in shock seeing the two no longer there. Itsuki, Lily uttered, as she clung onto my shirt for a bit with her hand. For now, why don't we check in with Nurse Joy? We only have plans to spend one night here after we do our business in the Pokémon Tower, I uttered softly myself. Right, Serena said, nodding her head as she gulped a bit nervously. After Serena said that, the three of us turned around to face the counter. And yet, Nurse Joy's figure had completely vanished, not leaving a single trace behind at the counter. Chapter 114, Eevee. Are you three just going to stay there? You've been in a daze for a good moment, you know, Nurse Joy's voice suddenly called out to us, as her figure appeared right behind us. Serena exclaimed in surprise, hearing Nurse Joy's voice behind. Sure enough, we turned around and saw her. Didn't you see those people just now, Nurse Joy? Lily also said, confused. No, Nurse Joy asked back, tilting her head a bit in confusion herself. You three trainers were the only arrivals today in Lavender Town. In fact, you are the only ones in the entire Pokémon Center besides Chansey and I, Nurse Joy continued to say, which caused Serena and Lily to blink before we had a good look at our surrounding. Sure enough, there were no other people beside Nurse Joy, who was beside us right now, and her Chansey at the counter. Chansey, Chansey responded, tilting its head in confusion as Chansey saw our current behavior. At this moment, we felt a sudden wind chill gently sweep past us, moving on to the entrance doorway. Both Serena and Lily felt a bit of cold sweat trickle down their backs. "Say it, Suki, spirits don't exist, right?" Serena said as she gulped a bit. "I mean, that question is quite hard to answer. If a soul decides to linger instead of passing on, it is possible for a spirit to remain." "Probably," I said, unsure myself. "I think we just encountered some too," Lily said, shivering a bit as that cold air swept through us. It only lasted for a moment, but that cold feeling went away shortly after. "We get those reactions a lot every time a trainer stops by here." "Maybe I'm already used to it by now," Nurse Joy uttered, seeing the stillness of the Pokémon Center resume. "Anyway, would you three like to get checked in? You said earlier you are looking to spend at least one night here." "Yes," Nurse Joy asked us. "That's the plan for now," I said, nodding my head. After saying that, Serena and Lily saw me reach into my bag to dig around in it for a bit, only to retrieve our 3 Pokémon eggs still in those incubators. Seeing me take our eggs out immediately drew Serena's and Lily's eyes to them. "Oh right, we were so caught up in our battling that we have yet to actually hatch our Eevee eggs." "Didn't Daisy say they were going to hatch soon?" Serena said in excitement. "She did. Don't tell me you brought them out because they are going to hatch sooner than expected, Itsuki," Lily also asked. "The eggs have been showing signs of hatching. Would it be possible to use your nursery after we get checked in?" I asked, looking toward Nurse Joy. She smiled after hearing me ask that. "Of course. It's not everyday trainers with Pokémon eggs that are due to hatch soon come here in Lavender. Let me go get your room key, then we can head on back and place them in the heating room," Nurse Joy tried to say. And yet, at this time, we were suddenly greeted by 3 blinding white lights, releasing directly from the Pokémon eggs, which caused us to blink at the eggs. Seeing the eggs start to glowing white, I couldn't help but chuckle. "Haha, guess we don't need to use that nursery room after all," I said with a smile, only to gently place down the Pokémon eggs. After I did, I walked toward my egg while Serena and Lily approached theirs. We each sat down respectively in front of our own Eevee egg. In but a moment or two, the glowing light of each egg vanished and the incubator tops automatically popped off to our sides, revealing the eggs to the open air. After becoming exposed, each egg started to slowly crack. One crack appeared, followed by another. "Crack! Eevee!" a voice suddenly called out, breaking out of the egg. "It appears mine hatched first." A small quadruped only spanning about a foot tall with a busy tail appeared in front of me, full of curious eyes. The moment this Pokémon spotted me before it quickly approached me, and started to nuzzle its head against my hand. This Pokémon was the very popular Eevee, whose evolution was very unstable, and was the only Pokémon that could evolve into several different forms. However, the moment I took a good look at this Eevee, its fur was a lot more pale white compared to its normal luster. "Why hello there, Eevee," I said, greeting Eevee with a smile. Eevee responded happily as it continued to nuzzle its head against my hand. Eevee felt very warm for being a newborn. At this time, both Serena's and Lily's eggs started to crack respectively as the glowing light dimmed down. Before we knew it, the 2 eggs cracked, revealing 2 more Eevee. And to my surprise, another Eevee with pale white fur appeared before Serena, while the Eevee who appeared before Lily had its normal lustrous brown fur. "Eevee," the Eevee sitting in front of Serena happily said, only to quickly draw its gaze at Serena. "So cute," Serena said as she greeted her Eevee, who immediately took a liking to her. As for the Eevee who appeared in front of Lily, it began to look at Lily with a curious look in its eyes. "Eevee," the Eevee in front of Lily questioned, only to observe her with a curious look in its eyes. In the past, Lily would become hesitant the moment she would try to pick up any sort of Pokémon whatsoever, but now a smile bloomed on her face. Leaning inward gently a bit, we saw Lily reach down, only to pick up her Eevee, bringing Eevee right into Lily's arm. "You're very cute, Eevee. I hope we'll get along together," Lily responded with a smile. The moment Lily said that, the Eevee in Lily's arms started to have sparkles appear in its eyes. Eevee happily said, nuzzling its head against Lily's hand. "Looks like the hatching went well," Nurse Joy spoke out to us, seeing 3 hatched Eevee. "And it's 3 Eevee to boot. And it's just not that. 2 of the 3 have a different variation in their color. Even I am a bit jealous seeing such a thing," Nurse Joy said, chiming in. "Haha, that is pretty rare. I just wasn't expecting the hatching to be this quick. I need to thank Big Sister later for choosing eggs that were about to hatch," I replied as I gently combed through Eevee's fur. And since it was successful, might as well get our readings now, I continued to say. Leaning to the side a bit, I rummaged through our bags again, only to retrieve my Pokédex. You're going to do the reading now? Serena asked with interest. Why not? You remember what I said about Eevees, right? I suddenly asked Serena and Lily. Lily blinked for a moment before she spoke out. It's that we should evolve Eevees as soon as we can, right? That way they'll be more in tune with the type of energy they absorb from the evolution stone, Lily asked back. Well, that's one thing, Itsuki said. It's also about what moves are available for learning too, right? Serena also asked. Hearing both of them answer, I nodded my head. That's right. Unlike other Pokémon, Eevee work quite differently. The sooner they can achieve their evolution, they'll become stable, and learn the moves tied to that type, I said, nodding my head at the two. I then looked back toward Nurse Joy and spoke out to hear. You don't mind us using a corner of the Pokémon Center, do you, Nurse Joy? I decided to ask her. Not at all. Chansey has already prepared your key too for the night, Nurse Joy happily said. After she said that, we saw her Chansey approach us, only to extend its hand out, revealing a room key. Chansey happily said as it gave a room key. Haha, thank you, Chansey, I replied back. After putting away our room key, I decided to pick up my shiny Eevee, as did Serena pick up her shiny Eevee and Lily her normal Eevee. After we thanked Nurse Joy, we headed toward the leftmost corner of the Pokémon Center, only to place our Eevee back down next to each other. The three Eevees started to look at each other curiously, while Serena and Lily saw me turn on my Pokédex. To begin with, I put it over my Eevee, and the Pokédex started to describe it. Eevee, the evolution Pokémon. A normal type Pokémon. Because of its unstable DNA, Eevee possess a wide variety of evolutions hidden deep inside its genomes. The known species are currently counted as 8, but it is rumored through various testing, more possibilities can be achieved, the Pokédex spoke to us. After it finished its reading, it then gave us each Eevee's individual data. I went over mine to begin with. Eevee. Level, 1. Gender, female. Moves, tackle, growl, tail whip, helping hand, covet, charm, fake tears. Ability, anticipation. Nature, modest. Eevees, 31 HP, 31 SP ATK, 31 SPD. Seeing this, I couldn't help but inwardly smile, taking note of a very special move Eevee came with, Charm. Just knowing Charm alone will allow to evolve to what evolution I personally was aiming for, Sylveon. All Eevee requires to evolve into a Sylveon is to know a fairy-type move. Knowing that, I decided to let Serena read hers next, which brought another surprise. Eevee. Level, 1. Gender, male. Moves, tackle, growl, tail whip, helping hand, covet, curse, wish, shadow ball. Ability, run away. Nature, careful. Eevees, 31 HP 31 def 31 SP def. Wow, Serena said, surprised at her own Eevee. Even though it's the same Pokémon as yours, Itsuki, my Eevee already appearing vastly different. Just seeing alone, I think I'm already inclined to what Eevee should evolve into, Serena mused to herself. As she did, Lily scanned her Eevee next. Eevee. Level, 1. Gender, female. Moves, tackle, growl, tail whip helping hand, covet, fake tears, calm mind, swift. Ability, run away. Nature, timid. Eevees, 31 HP 31 SP ATK 31 SPD. Seeing this information before her, Lily became more curious. Mine looks very similar to yours, doesn't it, Itsuki, Lily said, looking back at me. There are some similarities, but there are a couple differences too. I have decided what to evolve my Eevee into, and there is one key difference between mine and yours, Lily. Mine knows Charm, I explained to Lily. It took her a moment, but she reacted as if a light bulb went off inside her mind. Oh. I almost forgot Charm was a fairy-type move, so you'll be choosing Sylveon, hey, Lily uttered, figuring it out. As for me, I think I'm going to with an Umbreon. Among the evolutions of Eevee, Umbreon is more defense-orientated, so getting an Eevee like this matches that quite well, Serena also said. So you two really decide just now, Lily responded, still a bit unsure. She then looked back at her Eevee, who was looking back right at her. Eevee, Lily's Eevee asked, feeling unsure as well. Seeing Eevee behave this way, Lily couldn't help but smile again, only to pick up her Eevee. Hee. Just as confused as I am, hi, Eevee? Though I can't be too indecisive on this. After giving it a consideration, I think the type I'll go with is, Lily began to say. Chapter 115, Evolution. After seeing the stats on my Eevee, I think I'll go with, a Jolteon. I can see mine is quite a bit faster than yours and Serena's. Among Eevee's evolutions, Jolteon is by far the fastest. That way, I can make use of Eevee's speed, Lily said, deciding on Jolteon. After saying that, Lily ruffled through Eevee's fur, to which it enjoyed her warm hand. Eevee responded happily. Hearing Lily say that, Serena and I nodded our heads. I'm surprised you were able to make a decision so quickly, Lily. Taking into consideration that you have yet to evolve Snowy and Clefairy for that matter, Serena replied with a smile. Well, Lily's Clefairy is a bit special, considering it's making use of the Eviolite that I purchased, but I won't be against you should you decide to evolve your Clefairy too, Lily, I also said. Yet. If that time comes, I will decide to evolve my Clefairy then. But for now, we have these 3 cute Eevee that are needing to evolve, the sooner the better as you said, Itsuki. Isn't that right, Eevee? Lily responded with a smile. Eevee, Lily's Eevee happily responded. Haha. I guess I should take these out, hi, I decided to say, which drew Serena's and Lily's attention back my way once I started to rummage around in my bag again. I pulled out a moonstone, a thunderstone, some berries that my Eevee liked specifically, as well as what appeared to be a piece of candy wrapped in a blue wrapper. That's right, this was a rare candy. To my surprise, they actually existed in this world I was brought to. However, not only were they super expensive and rare to get a hands on, they are one of Pokémon's richest tastes one could experience. From what I could find out, a rare candy is very sweet and filling, and it was bad to give multiple at the same time, to which could harm a Pokémon's well-being. In short, it was one of those luxury goods, a delicacy if you will. I am sure there are those out there that abuse these, and I have seen reports to where a Pokémon would die should they consume too many at once, likely due to the sudden boost in power. Or alternatively, they would immediately ignore their trainer, and directly attack the trainer instead, killing them in the process. Such a thing can be quite scary, so not many people use rare candy. I was able to pick one up during my shopping back at Celadon, but it was pretty expensive. Seeing me bring out these items, I gently placed them on the ground, not too far away from the 3 Eevee. Lily was immediately drawn to the moonstone. Did you sneak out another moonstone from Mount Moon, Itsuki? I thought you only obtained one for my Clefairy should I need it and one for Serena's Nidorina, Lily asked. What can I say? Celadon's market is largely available for most goods. I had to do some digging to find both this rare candy and another moonstone though, I said. I was indeed able to stock up on a lot of goods during that couple days of rest. It's not like I sat there idly while Serena was recovering. Thank you, Itsuki. But I do want to know why a moonstone? The one I'm going with is definitely an Umbreon. But don't they absorb the moonlight energy directly into their bodies under the moon, and evolve when their happiness reaches a certain point? Serena asked, confused. That's the most common situation to evolve Umbreon, and likewise, using sunlight and happiness to evolve an Eevee into an Espeon. But what people mostly don't know is these stones contain a much richer and pure energy related to its type. Moonstones are able to prompt an evolution right away for Eevee, likewise using a sunstone for Espeon. Unfortunately for me, there is not a known stone to contain fairy-type energy, so I have to go the common route. Thankfully in Sylvian's scenario, you just need to meet the requirement of knowing a fairy-type move, and some training. Or in my case, with this rare candy right here, I said, finishing the explanation of how Eevee worked to Serena and Lily. Wow, so such a method existed after all. I'm guessing it's mostly known in the professor circle to help with their studies and theories. Even I wouldn't want to waste time trying train one of my Pokémon to evolve if I knew such a method existed. The other way wastes so much time, Lily said, in amazement. Right? Which is why I didn't mind telling you too. It was Gramps who told me about this way, I responded. Teehee, we'll have to thank Professor Oak later then. Why don't we evolve our Eevee now? Serena asked as she giggled. Asterisk that we can, I said, only for Serena to take her Moonstone and Lily her Thunderstone. As for me, I unwrapped the rare candy, and placed it on the floor in front of where my shiny Eevee stood. Seeing the rare candy confused Eevee for a moment, but it quickly spotted the berries it liked next to the rare candy, and it jumped at the food, digging in. Eevee happily said as it began to hungrily scarf down the food in front of it, despite being hatched a few moments ago. I guess we are next. Does this interest you, Azure? Serena asked her Eevee. The moment Serena's Eevee heard that, it tilted its head a bit, confused. Eevee tried to ask Serena, to which she giggled again. It's your new name. Do you like it? Serena decided to ask her Eevee. Eevee thought for a brief moment, to happily nod back at her. Eevee answered happily. Hearing its new name, Serena's Eevee hopped toward the Moonstone, and pressed its paw against it. Sure enough, after a moment, Eevee's body started to glow after it started absorbing the moon's energy from the Moonstone. Seeing Serena's Eevee start evolving, Lily looked toward hers. I guess you're up then. How about I call you Sparky? Lily decided to ask, looking at her Eevee. Lily's Eevee took a moment before it nodded its head. Eevee, Lily's Eevee responded, acknowledging Lily, which brought her to a smile. Hearing its new name, Lily's Eevee walked toward the Thunderstone, and placed its paw on top of it. Just like with Serena's, Lily's Eevee started to have a glow up too, letting its figure distort and grow as the light grew brighter. As for mine, my Eevee finished its berries in no time, and gulped the rare candy in one go. Feeling a burst of energy rush forth, Eevee started to run around a little bit, before I saw its body start glowing. In succession, Serena's Eevee finished evolving first, then Lily's and then mine. The glowing ended as well, revealing 3 new figures, who were each bigger and taller. Umbreon, Jolteon, Sylveon. 3 evolutions of Eevee appeared before our every eyes. Serena now had an Umbreon. Lily now had a Jolteon, and me a Sylveon. I also took this time to get their individual readings with the Pokédex. Umbreon, the Moonlight Pokémon. When exposed to the light of the moon, the rings on its body start to faintly glow, allowing it to piece the darkness of the night with ease. The rings will glow more easily when it is a full moon. As a nocturnal Pokémon, it lurks in the very shadows of the night, waiting to pounce on its prey. Jolteon, the lightning Pokémon. When its fur stands on end, it is a sign that it is about to release jolts of electricity. This power is amplified by the power of its fur, enacting as miniature needles. It can release a voltage as strong as 10,000 volts easily just by generating a bit of power inside its body. Sylveon, the intertwining Pokémon. The ribbons on its body are able to act as feelers, sending its emotions directly into an opposing Pokémon, and can easily disrupt them. It is rumored that this aura can erase even the most dreadful conflict. It is known to act elegantly, creating a dance that can pierce directly into a Pokémon's weak spot. Chapter 116, Mr. Fuji. A shiny Sylveon, a shiny Umbreon, and a Jolteon now stood before us. It took the 3 a moment to get their bearing, but it didn't take long before the 3 looked at other curiously, and in the next moment they happily nuzzled each other and began to play around. Looks like it worked, I said, revealing a smile. So easily too. Maybe it's because they're newborns, Serena wondered. We will still need to treat them as such. Sylveon, Azure, and Sparky probably won't be able to enter battle for a while, Lily said as she nodded her head. That's indeed right. They'll need plenty of rest and enough to eat so these 3 can grow well. The evolutions of Eevee are more in tune with the elements compared to other Pokémon, so they may need to discharge excess energy at times. If not, they might end up getting sick, I said, responding to Lily. Well, that makes sense. We wouldn't want that to happen, Serena said with a nod. We'll make sure not to, Lily also said with a smile. But we aren't done yet, are we? Lily continued to ask. Haha, nope. We aren't ending here, I replied with a laugh. I then went back into my bag to dig around a bit, and pulled out 3 red Pokeballs. Serena's eyes lit up the moment she saw them. Oh! I almost forgot our newly evolved Eevees hatched from eggs. It's a good thing we didn't do this with many people around. Technically they aren't caught yet, right? Serena asked. Indeed. Which is why the sooner we act, the better. We shouldn't let our Pokémon out too much after they're caught though while we're in Lavender, at least, I responded to Serena. Yet. This atmosphere is kinda eerie, Lily said, a bit worried. Still, she reached out her hand, and took one of the 3 Pokeballs. Serena reached hers out too, and grabbed one. With a Pokeball for each, we placed them down in front of Sylveon, Umbreon, and Jolteon. Seeing us do this, the 3 stopped playing around and curiously looked back at us. One by one, without hesitation, Sylveon approached mine, Umbreon approached Serena's, and Jolteon approached Lily's Pokeball. With a tap of their head, each one opened up, and they were engulfed in red light. Wiggle! 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 Ding! X3. We each heard a ding respectively, and the 3 of us revealed smiles all together. Now I ain't Ash to where he shouts out each time a Pokémon has been caught, but I still leaned forward, and grabbed onto Sylveon's Pokeball. Now that is a job done. Welcome to the team, Sylveon, I responded happily as I looked down at the Pokeball. It will definitely help round off our typings for the latter half of our journey here in Kanto, Serena also replied happily. You're speaking as if you are already squared away for the Pokémon League, Lily said as she retorted Serena. Serena couldn't help but giggle hearing that. Well, we still got a bit to go, but I can't help but feel the anticipation, you know, Serena replied. There's still a lot of Pokémon to catch, and not just in Kanto. You two have just caught the minimum requirement to enter the Pokémon League, but formulating an actual team is still the better way. Still, for the short term, we have to decide on if we need to catch and train some more for Koga. For me, I'll be using these next couple of routes to train up Aerodactyl and Growlithe, I continued to say. Geez, you're already thinking about training Pokémon again. But I do agree with your point there, especially after Professor Oak gave us that warning. We mustn't underestimate the remaining gyms. That's for sure, Serena said with a nod of her head. We then saw her stand up, only to have her reach out her hands. One for me and Lily each. Lily said as she nodded her head. Thank you, Lily replied happily. We all stood up afterward. Our business was now done in the corner of this Pokémon Center, so we walked back toward the counter, to where we saw Nurse Joy and Chansey. Looks like it was a success for you 3. Congratulations, Nurse Joy said, congratulating us on our successful hatching of the Eevee eggs, catching and evolving them. Thank you, I replied Nurse Joy. Since you gave us a room key to check in upstairs, we'll go put our things there shortly, I continued to say. I am not anticipating any other trainers to come for the day, but if you do see any others before you head out tomorrow, please do be careful. But before you guys go, I couldn't help but hear that you have interest in going into the Pokémon Tower, Nurse Joy decided to ask us. That's right. Is there something additional? Lily asked with interest. Well, people who typically enter the Pokémon Tower tend to pay their respects to the Pokémon House as well. It isn't far from here and is on the same main street that leads to the Pokémon Tower. You'll see it on the left side after walking for a few minutes, Nurse Joy explained, giving us the location of the Pokémon House. The Pokémon House? Serena asked as she tilted her head a bit. I heard about that place from Gramps. It's an orphanage for Pokémon, right? People who toss away their Pokémon can find refuge there, I replied. That's exactly right. The townsfolk here are very kind to these Pokémon who were abandoned. The owner of the Pokémon House goes by the name of Mr. Fuji. Tell them you were sent there by me, and they'll welcome you. He can give you more information about the Pokémon Tower as well, Nurse Joy continued to say. Mr. Fuji, hey? I understand, Lily said, nodding her head. Why don't we go place our things down now and head there after? Lily asked, looking at Serena and I. Works for me, I replied with a nod. Me too. After all, we are just staying here for one day. We can pay our visit to the Pokémon House and Pokémon Tower, catch a couple ghost-type Pokémon, and chill for the rest of our stay here in Lavender. I'm already looking forward to riding that cycling road, Serena said as she clapped her hands together. This earned a giggle from Lily. We bid our farewell to Nurse Joy for now, and settled into our room that was given to us by Nurse Joy. After spending a bit of time settling in, we exited the Pokémon Center and made our way down the street to the Pokémon House. It was very reminiscent of an Eastern Japanese-style house, mostly made of tatami mats. It also had a wooden porch out front. The caretakers who worked us did give us a warm welcome after we told that we were sent by Nurse Joy. To which we were given a short tour of the orphanage. Serena and Lily took an interest to how the Pokémon were being treated and even helped out a little bit, to each their own. There was just one Pokémon that wouldn't allow Serena and Lily to touch it. Thankfully there was an old man inside, who we could only presume was Mr. Fuji, to help settle this Pokémon down. It was a Cubone, who had lost its mother to Team Rocket a while ago. Mr. Fuji was the only one to care for it, so it rejects anyone else who isn't him. Still, we received a lesson about Pokémon from Mr. Fuji after we introduced each other. Mr. Fuji actually knew me as a Pokémon professor, which was a bit surprising. Still, the lesson we received about caring for Pokémon was taken with a warm heart, and we gave him our thanks. To our surprise, he handed us a pair of goggles, which was a Sylph scope, a popular good created by the Sylph Company. They were a prominent company residing here in Kanto, and were known for making modern common electronics. If it became too dark inside the Pokémon Tower, the Sylph scope would be able to help us see better, considering it was a place roaming with ghost Pokémon. Thanking Mr. Fuji, we bid farewell to the Pokémon house, and went to a local flower shop to buy some flowers. Getting a small bouquet, we made our way to the Pokémon Tower. It did consist of a few floors, but we eventually made our way in and out of the foggy indoor cemetery, making our way to the innermost grave. We figured paying our respects here would be the most ideal place. Doing a common farewell greeting, we eventually left the innermost area, and started our exploring of the Pokémon Tower. To my surprise, there was neither the rumored spirit that haunted the tower, nor was there a single trace of Team Rocket who appeared here in the anime. Perhaps they would show up more toward the time Ash starts his journey with Misty and Brock? Still, it was a blessing for us. We were able to quickly identify a few ghost-type Pokémon as a result of no disturbances, and with the help of the Sylph scope. In the end we welcomed 3 new Pokémon to our parties. I ended up catching a Haunter, which we did a short trade to evolve it into a Jengar. Lily actually managed to find a Litwick, which did make me a little jealous. But perhaps the luckiest of us 3 was Serena this time. She actually managed to find a Hunch inside of the Pokémon Tower. After catching our respective Pokémon, we got their dex readings, and left the Pokémon Tower. With 3 new Pokémon obtained, we made our way back to the Pokémon Center, and healed our Pokémon with Nurse Joy's help. Not much else happened in Lavender Town, which made it pretty uneventful, but I guess that is a good thing. Without Team Rocket presence right now, Lavender is a very peaceful town, despite having its eerie atmosphere. We bid farewell to Nurse Joy in Lavender Town the next day, and retraced our steps, going back underneath the underground pass to Celadon City. We paid a quick visit to Daisy, who welcomed us again, and informed her we would likely not be in touch for a while. She knew well that we were heading to Fuchsia City next, and wished us good luck. But it seemed a certain someone was already looking ready to start riding a bicycle down the cycling road. Chapter 117, Cycling Road. Yahoo! It's the cycling road, Serena suddenly shouted out happily as we made our way through the checkpoint past Celadon City. We arrived to what appeared a singular highway, built over a long stretch of forest. Further down to the south was the Kanto Sea. That's right, this cycling road was built partially over the sea itself. It's no wonder why it attracts so many cyclists per year. Serena gently trotted along with a bright blue single-seat bicycle on her left side. And of course, she had a matching helmet to go along with it. It's a shame I have yet to actually ride a bike, Lily said, feeling a bit dejected as she wore a purple helmet. That's why we rented one of these, right? I said, only to present a 2-seater bicycle beside Lily and Serena. You'll be able to get the hang of it. Once you do feel comfortable you can try to match your pedaling with mine, I continued to say. You just wanted to ride with Itsuki, didn't you, Lily? Serena suddenly retorted, which caused me to almost tumble over. Yet hearing that caused Lily to giggle. Hee. But it is true I can't ride a bike. I know how to operate a helicopter though, if that means anything, Lily said as she tilted her head a bit. I couldn't help but smack my face with my hand hearing that. Serena almost stumbled forward this time the moment Lily said that. Just what did that mother of yours teach you? Serena uttered. Lots of things. Though the study sessions were mostly held together with Itsuki and our butler outside of what we learned at school, since mother was usually out in her office for most of the time. She is planning on making me inherit her position of Aether Corporation CEO eventually. At least that's what I currently think. I doubt mother is planning to let brother take over, Lily continued to say. Lily as a businesswoman, hey? I could kind of see that, actually, Serena said. Hup, Serena continued to say, only to effortlessly get on top of her bike and kept it stable. She immediately tilted it a bit, letting one of her feet rest on the other side. As expected of Serena. Guess riding is simple for you after all, I replied with a smile, only to proceed to get on the front seat of our two-seater. I was quite a bit taller than her, so we got a bike to match my height. It may give Lily some discomfort, but hopefully she'll be able to match my speed before long. Of course I didn't forget my helmet either. Seeing the two of us get on our bikes, Lily followed, and sat on the seat behind me. For now, Lily reached out her arms, and I felt her slender hands hold against my waist. Well, that is still far into the future. I'm enjoying our journey together right now, Lily responded with a smile. However, her placing her hands around my waist didn't go unnoticed. Serena immediately spotted it. I knew it. You just wanted to hold on to it, Suki, Serena retorted as she stuck out her tongue a bit. Ha ha ha, I responded with a laugh seeing Serena say this. Well, it'd probably be better for us to depart sooner than later, should we want to arrive in Fuchsia while it's still daytime, I said to the two. Yeah, you're right, Itsuki. Looks like you win this one, Lily. We should get going, Serena responded with a nod. Hearing Serena said that, Lily nodded her head. She then turned around, only to spot an Officer Jenny who greeted us not too long ago. Officer Jenny was stationed at the entrance to the cycling road, likely to keep traffic going. We would see other cyclists from time to time, even when we are at the entrance. Seeing her, we heard Lily yell out to her. Thank you very much for letting us rent these bikes, Officer Jenny, Lily said, which drew Officer Jenny's attention. You're very welcome. I'll go relay that to the owner of the bike shop here. Do be careful out there, you guys. We are not responsible for any accidents or trainer-related injuries, Officer Jenny replied, giving us a warning. Note taken. We'll be off, I responded to her. With that said, Serena moved her body in one swift motion, and started to pedal. She took the lead and Lily and I followed suit, starting to pedal as well. It didn't take long to feel breeze streak across our faces as we pedaled down the cement-paved highway. Every so often we would come across other cyclists going to and fro. We could even see cyclists battling each other. This allowed us to get some good experience in, seeing the eagerness of the challenges. I mostly let Serena and Lily garner more experience in these battles, as my own Pokémon were already in their own training regimen to face Koga. It was the morning when we started our cycling. A few hours passed before we realized it, signaling noontime. During this time, Lily also tried matching her pace with mine, and she was able to follow along quite well. We would come across rest stops every so often as well, since pedaling non-stop would tire someone out rather quickly. The beginning of this cycling road passed through the remainder of Celadon's forests on its left side. The moment we came out of the trees, a heavy salty sea breeze wafted through our noses. The highway opened up, and we could see the Kanto Sea in its full splendor. I'm sure further south from here would be Cinnabar Island and the Seafoam Islands. The sea really is pretty, Serena said happily, letting several drops of sweat drip down her face as she rubbed a towel over her face to dry off her sweat. It definitely is. Just wait till we reach Alola. It's practically surrounded by the ocean. Is this your first time being this close to the sea, Serena? Lily asked curiously. Oh right, you two lived in Alola for a while. I guess you're more used to this than I am, hey? I haven't gone directly to the sea yet, but this is as close as it can get, Serena replied happily. However, at that time, we suddenly heard a rumbling noise, coming right from Serena's stomach. The moment Serena's stomach grumbled, we saw her blush a bit before she hid her face inside of her towel. I couldn't help but laugh. Haha, looks like it's time for lunch. We've pretty much traveled about halfway through this cycling road. The rest of the path banks to the left. Look, you can see Fuchsia City way further off, I said, raising my arm and pointing outward to the crossing highway. We were at the rest stop where the two sides met. It wasn't too busy right now either. We could see another cyclist or two also enjoying a rest at one of the tables nearby. We've already biked halfway, Serena said, blinking her eyes as she saw a huge city off in the distance. We could feel the beating sun on high noon over us as she said that. Hehe, I guess you weren't even paying attention to the time we spent biking. But I'm a bit surprised too seeing us go this fast. The ride so far was very enjoyable, Lily responded happily. You were able to keep up with my pace too. You aren't tired yet, are you, Lily? I decided to ask. Lily gently shook her head. No. I still have a good bit of energy to spend before I completely tire out, Lily answered me. And yet, the moment she said that we suddenly heard a second growl, coming straight from Lily's stomach. Lily blushed this time before hiding away behind the towel she used to wipe her sweat off too. Serena chuckled seeing Lily do this. It definitely is time for lunch, all right. You're making it, right, Itsuki? Serena asked me. Of course. We can bring everyone out too and make a nice lunch. We're on a good pace. We may even be able to sign up for Fuchsia's gym before the day is over, I replied with a nod of my head, which caused Serena and Lily to smile. In the next moment, we saw Serena tilt her head a bit, before speaking next. If that's the case, then can I request something? Serena decided to ask. Her eyes specifically shifted toward me. Sure, what's up? I asked back. Serena revealed a playful smile after I said that. How about something energizing for lunch, you know, to get us through the rest of this cycling? Serena asked, being vague. I couldn't help but blink my eyes at her. A dish packed with protein then, I continued to ask. That works for me, Serena replied happily, and Lily nodded as well. Just like that, we enjoyed a nice lunch at one of the rest stops about halfway through Kanto's famous cycling road, right next to the salty sea. We would constantly hear waves crash beneath the cement road. The only thing that prevented us from diving into it was a large guardrail. But even then the drop was quite long. We ended up eating at a couple tables and enjoyed the scenery as water and flying Pokémon came out to say hello. The couple of other bicyclists have already left after enjoying their break, and after a nutritious meal and our Pokémon with full bellies, we felt energized to continue our own bicycling. The sun had already started its descent, signaling the afternoon, and we hopped on our bikes. This time, Lily was able to keep up with me after getting the hang of it, and even decided to have a small race. Serena still came out on top though. Before we knew it, we arrived at Fuchsia City just as the sunset was setting, making the scenery very beautiful. And at the same time, we quickly spotted a very large Pokémon center that was in the center of all the buildings surrounding it, so it was quite easy to spot. Apparently Fuchsia Gym wasn't in the city itself, but right on the outskirts. Getting off the cycling road, we returned our rented bikes to the shop at the end, and thanked them. Afterward, we checked into the large Pokémon center and it was packed with trainers. But these trainers seemed more experienced than the ones we saw back in Celadon City, which made sense as we were now in the second half of Kanto. From here on the difficulty would spike, and our next target was the Fuchsia Gym, and its gym leader, Koga. With a look of anticipation, we checked into our room and healed our Pokémon that were tired from training and partaking in Pokémon battles during our remaining part of the cycling road. After that, we filled out an application to partake in a gym battle. Surprisingly, they would be able to squeeze us in within the week. We all had an anticipated look in our eyes knowing our next gym battle was coming up. Meanwhile, as the three of us settled into Fuchsia City, a lone figure could be seen floating in the air, wandering seamlessly through the clouds. And yet it seemed to trace a path along the cycling road, to which the three trainers it saw were just there not too long ago. Mew, the figure questioned, only to tilt its small head at the direction of the large city not too far away. In no time did it speed up, causing the clouds to disperse quickly as it flew through them. Upon arriving at the city, it found the Pokémon Center the three trainers went in, but something caught its interest elsewhere. A large tree right in the middle of the city. It was quite distinctive. It seemed to be a giant large pine tree. Mew, the figure asked again, only to dart its eyes around the tree. It was as if the tree was calling out to it. At the same time, the figure thought it saw a shadow for a split second, which caused the figure to halt its flying. Baeen, a second voice suddenly called out to the first figure, seemingly from within the large pine tree. Hearing this second voice, the first figure turned, and looked downward. Chapter 118, Celebi. Serena, Lily, and I safely made it to Fuchsia City after a full day of traveling on the cycling road. Thankfully we made it just as the sun was setting. Compared to Celadon City where it was just tall rise building after building, the buildings in Fuchsia seemed more centralized, with the Pokémon Center right smack dab in the middle of it. To the south of this cul-de-sac-like city were more rundown buildings, showing the age of old Fuchsia. An old and out-of-commission train station could also be seen. Fortunately for travelers though, a more up-to-date airport and train station could be seen further to the north. I guess they wanted to preserve what old Fuchsia was like? If there was a modern term for it, I guess I would call it the slums, since every so often, a person would still pop out over there, only to quickly hide again. Besides that, most buildings around us were either shops or restaurants. We would eat well no matter where we go. One key interest beside that after we arrived was right before the Pokémon Center. It was a single grass park with one large soul pine tree soaring into the sky. This tree looks really grand, Serena said, gauging the size of the tree. Compared to a normal pine tree, it was quite large. Well, according to Fuchsia City, this tree has been with them since Fuchsia City was built back in the old times. To the people, it's essentially their #1 landmark. They also use it for festivities a lot. That's what this brochure says anyway, Lily said as she held out a pamphlet in her hand. It's been around for that long, Serena replied with interest. As Serena wondered that, I heard a giggle strike directly into my ears, which caused me to come to a stop. Looking up, I saw Mew, who I have not seen for a good while since we have obtained our badges from Celadon Gym. I guess Mew decided to see where we would go next, I suddenly said, only to see Mew gently floating in the sky above, which drew Serena's and Lily's attention. I was wondering what Mew was up to lately, Serena responded. It really has been a while, Lily also nodded her head. As we talked for a bit, we saw Mew swerve around the giant pine tree, showing more interest in its eyes. Unexpectedly, we saw the giant pine tree suddenly glow in a subtle white light, which caused the three of us to become surprised. And what came next immediately drew my attention. "Bii," a suddenly voice called out, as if it came from inside the tree. That voice, I began to utter. For some reason, it felt very familiar. Unbeknownst to me, the silver wing and rainbow wing in my possession began to reveal a subtle glow as well, but it was so faint that I did not know at the time. Before we could react, we saw a figure suddenly emerge from the giant pine tree. Its size was actually pretty small, and seemed to be around Mew in height. The one stark contrast though was the color. Mew was dominantly pink, while this creature was mostly green. This creature appeared as if it was the forest itself. Among us three, while I had my attention immediately drawn to this new Pokémon, Serena was dazed while Lily had a stunned look in her eyes. "I'm not seeing things, am I?" Lily uttered in shock, seeing this Pokémon appear out of the giant pine tree. "If you are seeing this too, then I'm not dreaming either," Serena also responded in shock. "This Pokémon, it's Celebi, isn't it?" Lily decided to ask, after pausing for a moment to make sure what she was currently seeing was right. "Yet. It looks like this tree holds some sentimental value to Celebi," I calmly responded with a nod of my head. "That's right." The green forest-like creature was indeed the mythical Pokémon much similar to Mew, Celebi. Known as the guardian of the forest, it was the very same Pokémon that appeared in the ancient book Giovanni gave to me. If I had to take a guess, Celebi was likely resting in this particular pine tree, and sensing Mew, it came out to see Mew. Thinking that, the subtle white glow on the tree vanished, completely revealing Celebi. Celebi looked around, only to spot Mew further up in the sky. "Bii," Celebi asked, seeing Mew. As to whether Mew had known about Celebi before this, I had no idea. "Mew," Mew responded, as if it was answering Celebi's question, only to start swerving around more. Even then, Celebi stayed wary. "Mew," Mew responded happily, seeing Celebi not leave in the sky. Wanting to play around, Mew quickly swerved toward Celebi, which caught Celebi off guard. "Bii," Celebi replied, somewhat angrily seeing Mew approach Celebi in the giant tree. The moment Mew reached Celebi, we suddenly saw Celebi glow white, only to completely vanish from sight, along with its presence. Seeing this stunned us as well, we could no longer detect Celebi anywhere. "Mew," Mew replied a bit sad, seeing Celebi no longer there. "Haha, Celebi's a bit finicky, ain't it?" I laughed, seeing Celebi completely vanish while Mew became dejected. However, before we could do anything, light began to distort before us. To me specifically. Right in front of the tree, only a few feet away, we saw Celebi reappear after that sudden glow of light. Seeing this stunned me again, more so as Celebi turned its head my way. "Bii," Celebi questioned as it looked at me. I saw its gaze shift a bit, only to look downward and across. Seeing this caused me to blink for a moment. "Are you perhaps?" I began to utter softly to not disturb Celebi too much. But seeing Celebi not flee, I could only think of one thing as Celebi looked downward a bit. I reached into my coat, which kept my badge case and a few important items on it. Rummaging around, I felt 2 soft feathers and slowly took them out. Surprisingly, Serena, Lily and I saw the silver wing and rainbow wing release a gentle glow. We became surprised. "Bii," Celebi responded happily the moment I took these 2 feathers out. Before we could do anything, Celebi started to swerve around us. Unfortunately, Celebi's happiness only lasted for a brief moment before we saw Celebi release a white glow. This time Celebi vanished entirely, along with its complete presence. We could no longer sense Celebi, and it seemed Mew was quick to pick up on it. Mew, Mew responded, seeing Celebi now gone. Still, it worked its way downward to where the 3 of us were. Taking one last look at the tree, Mew arrived in front of me. Reaching out my hand, Mew nuzzled against it. Haha, I guess Celebi is shy, I responded with a laugh. As I did, the faint glow of the 2 feathers also dimmed down. Would you like to stay here for a while to see if Celebi comes back, Mew? I decided to ask. Mew, Mew said, responding happily as it bobbed its head a bit. I really didn't think we would encounter Celebi like that, Lily uttered softly. Yet. I guess it just liked this particular place very much, Serena also said as she nodded her head. We have yet to reach Celebi's actual home in Johto, so until then we may not see Celebi again, I also said, unsure. Hehe, you were keeping watch out for us too, right Mew? Serena asked as she looked at Mew. Mew, Mew responded as if it had answered Serena. Now that I think about it, there were other people around us, going about their daily business, or also taking a break near the tree as well, but they didn't seem to notice the event that took place. Seeing this, I rubbed Mew again. Thank you for that Mew, I said, only to look back at Serena and Lily. By now the sun had set and it was now nighttime. Shall we go check in? There are a couple places to look at, and one I'm most excited for, which is the Safari Zone. You also said the Fuchsia gym underwent a remodeling, right Lily? I looked toward Lily. That's right. According to the pamphlet, Fuchsia City had recently removed its gym to a more modern one. It used to be held at gym leader Koga's private mansion on the outskirts. It's now being used as his own private house. Is that so? I was wondering what that large building toward the north was, I said, only to spot a giant domed building to the north, which still had the Safari Zone way to the north of it. Yet. We should go check in and register for the gym. I can't wait, Serena replied happily. With that said, the 3 of us felt a hidden presence vanish, which I presume was Mew's barrier. Being able to use such a barrier was really handy. After it vanished, we proceeded inside the Pokémon Center nearby, only to see it packed with trainers and Pokémon alike. A stark difference from how we saw Lavender Town. Chapter 119, Safari Zone, I. A tall brown-haired man with tan skin, a long brown-haired woman and a blonde-haired woman soon entered the Pokémon Center, attracting the eyes of many. The other trainers could immediately spot the 3 were trainers thanks to the Pokeballs held at their waist. The 3 people also saw the respective trainers currently hanging out with several different types of Pokémon in the center. Compared to the previous Pokémon centers, Fuchsia's was quite large. After we entered, our fellow trainers resumed their own business, as we slowly made our way to Nurse Joy. We had made sure to return our bicycles back at the end of the cycling road as well. They had a station there to return bicycles at each end to rent and return, since it was frequented by many cyclists. One did not need go out of their way to purchase one for a single ride. I know there are a lot who like to travel on their journey via a bicycle, but Serena, Lily, and I like to travel on foot. It takes longer, but it lets us enjoy the routes as they come. We saw a pink-haired woman curl her lips up into a smile seeing the 3 of us arrive as she greeted us. Welcome to Fuchsia City's Pokémon Center. You 3 seem new. I take it you guys came from the bicycling road, Nurse Joy asked, seeing as we were still covered in some visible sweat. Haha, was it that obvious? I replied as I scratched my cheek a bit. Well, we did spend all day on it. I thought we have mostly cooled down by now, but it's still a gross feeling like this, Serena answered, seeing sweat still sticking to her body. Lily also nodded her head. Yes, a change of clothes would be nice, Lily said as sweat still continued to drip down her body. Well, you 3 are in luck, we have some vacancies. Fuchsia's been booming thanks to our latest renovations, but you came at a good time. Let me take your Pokédexes and I'll get you guys checked in, Nurse Joy said. Looks like they were more official with how they do things here. As expected of a city belonging to the latter half of Kanto. While I could vouch for us 3, a Pokédex given out to a fellow trainer was the equivalent of issuing an ID here, so that made sense. It showed my picture on mine, while sequentially Serena's and Lily's on theirs. Thank you. I did see part of Fuchsia on the way here was still in its old-fashioned buildings, but you guys have been upgrading the city life here at, I asked as the three of us handed over our Pokédexes to get checked into the Pokémon Center. As Nurse Joy began to work her computer, she nodded her head. That's right. We've even recently renovated an entire new gym. Fuchsia's gym leader often holds his battles here in the city itself now, but the option to challenge him back at home is still an option, Nurse Joy answered. Fuchsia's mayor does have plans to renovate the old railway station. He has interest in connecting it to Vermilion's magnet train. It'll give opportunity for trainers and citizens alike to travel down here, Nurse Joy explained. Is that so? That would definitely make things around here more convenient. I had seen the magnet train in frequent use while we were in Vermilion City ourselves. Didn't get a chance to use it though, I said, feeling amazed at how much is trying to be changed around here in Fuchsia. Hearing that, Serena also nodded her head as she spoke to Nurse Joy. You still said we came at a good time, but is the line to challenge Fuchsia's gym leader long? Serena wondered. Teehee, right to the point, hey? There's a few ahead of you guys, but you'll likely be able to challenge him this week. Shall I put you in the books along with registering for a room? Nurse Joy asked us. Please do. We came here with the intent of challenging Koga, Lily said with confidence. Haha, is that so? Well, those who come to challenge Koga often lose. Unlike the other gym leaders you guys faced so far, he's in another league altogether. Fuchsia is the stopping point for many trainers that I've come across. So I wish you guys the best of luck. And this is just from me to you, but Koga recently received a promotion to enter the Elite Four, but he turned it down, Nurse Joy said, whispering to us. When she said that, surprise reached our eyes. Koga's that strong, enough to where he would turn down a spot to be in the Elite Four? Serena asked with a hint of worry. Haha, Nurse Joy may be over-exaggerating things a bit, but we shouldn't underestimate Koga by no means when it is our turn to challenge him, I said, assuring Serena. We'll need a concrete battle plan, and we should spend another couple days training our Pokémon, Lily also said while nodding her head. Hearing that, I turned my head and looked back toward Nurse Joy. By the way, the Safari Zone is open, right? I asked with interest. Nurse Joy nodded her head. It sure is. Many trainers attempt to find the rare dragon Pokémon hidden deep inside it. Shall I register you three? I've just checked you into your room here in the Pokémon Center, Nurse Joy said, only to hold onto our Pokédexes. Please do. That is the next area we'll be heading off to. Is tomorrow good? I asked. After asking that, we saw Nurse Joy operate her computer for a few moments, only to nod her head once again. There's available entrance tomorrow. I'll go ahead and book you guys for the Safari Zone. Do be warned, there is a time limit for how long a trainer can spend inside there. It is the same time limit for everyone, so one won't have to worry about trying to come out on top over the other, Nurse Joy explained. That makes sense. I do wonder if we'll get any new partners to join our team, Lily responded, having anticipation appear in her eyes. As she said that, Nurse Joy handed us our Pokédexes, and we thanked her, quickly making our way up toward the second floor, dismissing the other trainers who were hanging around with their own Pokémon. As I thought about Fuchsia's recent happenings and changes inside my mind, one thing to look forward to was the Safari Zone. Many Pokémon laid hidden within there that were not available anywhere else. And as Nurse Joy said, perhaps we may even come across a dragon-type Pokémon. Thinking that, Serena, who was holding onto my hand, reached out with her other hand as she had our room key and we opened the door, which led us into our room. All three of us were still reeking of sweat at this point, and it was starting to get a bit uncomfortable. Phew, we made it. I say it's time to hit the showers, Serena said, closing the door. Before we could do anything, Serena started to strip her clothes, which caused me to blink at her. She was in the nude before Lily and I could do anything. What? Serena said, blinking at us, despite us staying quiet. Oh, it's nothing. You're quite daring, aren't you? I couldn't help but grin. Hearing that, a light blush appeared on Serena's cheeks. Humph. I just want to get this sweat off. But if you're playing that game Itsuki, then why don't we have some fun? Serena suddenly said, only to look at Lily. Come over this way for a bit, Lily, Serena suggested, only to point her finger in front of me. Okay, Lily asked, unsure of what Serena was trying to do. She then saw Serena point her finger downward. It took Lily a moment to see what Serena was requesting of her, but Lily soon understood. I could only blink at Lily as she got onto her knees, facing my way. Seeing Lily do this, Serena revealed a playful grin as she approached my way. Without any warning, Serena pulled my pants down, only to have my member suddenly plop over Lily's face. In turn, Lily became dazed seeing it. Well, to say the least, I could guess what Serena was trying to get at here, and I wasn't going to deny some fun time. We quietly enjoyed our time together, enjoying some action before the sound of hot water started to spread out in our room. Chapter 120, Safari Zone, 2. Several sounds of splashing water and muffled thumping later. Serena was the first to come out, dripping, obviously naked of course, as she wrapped a towel around her hair to dry it off. Her cheeks could be seen rosy, but she now felt calm after the first excitement she went through in the bath. She had some fun time with Itsuki and Lily in the bath. The real thing wasn't done since the last time they actually did it, since Serena still felt nervous about it, but it's not like they couldn't enjoy other various acts. She wanted to burn off some steam after spending most of the day riding a bike. Knowing that, Serena felt another wave of tiredness after her body became relaxed from the bath, and couldn't help but stretch as she was drying her hair. It didn't take long for her to see Itsuki and Lily exit. Compared to Serena, Lily's skin was quite white and pearly. It was much easier to see the rossiness on her cheeks. Serena grinned seeing Lily exit the bath. "Did you enjoy drinking it?" Serena asked with a playful smile. "Why, you don't need to spell it out like that," Lily responded, only to have her cheeks blush a bit. "Haha, no more teasing, Serena. It's clear you're already tired." "I think all three of us are," I also said, as I was able to see Serena yawn just now. It was quite a long day, wasn't it? We went on Kanto's famous bike road, and we also saw Celebi. I don't think anyone else was aware of Celebi either, Serena said. Yet at this time, we heard the sound of some rumbling, only to come from Serena's stomach. Lily's stomach also growled a bit. Hearing this, I smiled. "Right? Well, it looks like you're both tired, and hungry now. I think we still have some leftover ingredients from our ride, but we are back in a city, so there's probably some restaurants we could try out too." "I'm fine with doing either," I responded. "I don't think I can wait long enough to sit waiting for food at a restaurant," Serena said, only to look at her stomach. "Yeah, let's just make something quick. I think Nurse Joy said our gym challenge was in 3 days or so we should use the next 1 to 2 days to decide who we're using and train some more," Lily also responded. "That we can do. I'll whip us something quick then." Thankfully these rooms have a small kitchen. They allow trainers to cook their own meals if they don't like eating out. But while dinner is being prepared, I'll show you guys something Nurse Joy gave me. We need to wake up early tomorrow. Don't forget what we signed up for, I said with a serious tone. Right. The Safari Zone. The only place in Kanto where the most unique Pokémon are said to roam. We'll be able to go on a catching spree. It's a shame what we catch though probably won't be ready for Koga, Serena responded. Yeah. I believe most of our Pokémon are ready, but like Lily said, we'll consolidate a training plan for the next 2 days. I think some of our Pokémon are ready to evolve too, we can't take any chances. Koga gained an opportunity to join the Elite Four, but he turned it down. I can't wait to see what his strength in battle is like, I responded, feeling anticipation. What's the thing you'll show us? Lily tried to ask as she nodded her head as well. We can go over it over dinner. It's nothing special. Just a booklet for the Safari Zone, I explained a bit, only to look Serena and Lily. Serena currently had her front exposed, so I could see her peachy breasts. Lily was in front of me, so her pearly butt was exposed instead. Thanks to the steam from the bath, I could still see droplets of water going down their bodies. But before that, make sure to finish drying off. We don't want you two catching colds now, I happily responded, still seeing Serena and Lily dripping a bit. Lily nodded, confirming my words. We then proceeded to finish drying ourselves, and put on our clothes. With some time passed, I made our way toward the little kitchen area while Serena and Lily went back to the table near the bed, only to turn on the TV to see if there was any news going on. Before long, the smell of roasted meat and herbs wafted around. We spent a lot of energy today, so it was good to refill our stamina with protein and the likes. It'll be more satisfying that way. We also called out our smaller Pokémon. The room was big enough to call out Serena's and Lily's Vulpix and my Ninetales. We also called our 3 evolutions, as well as Growlithe. Growlithe immediately took to yawning but still enjoyed the food that was prepared for him. He quickly departed for the pillows and started snoozing away. I guess he liked sleeping on top of the pillows, hey? We all enjoyed a nice dinner instead of going to one of the restaurants tonight. Jolteon, Sylveon and Umbreon coiled up around each other in one corner, as did the other three. With full bellies they started to sleep. The sunset had well passed now, so it was night time. Going over the booklet, it described the different habitats of the Safari Zone, and which areas were safe, and which ones weren't. It also listed out most of the Pokémon that were available for catching. Unlike the games to where a person had limited steps, here we only had a limited amount of balls. We could not take in our own Pokeballs. That was the one rule of the Safari Zone, try your luck with what was given to you. And if I remember correctly, the number of Safari Balls given were about 30. So there's good chances to walk away with a few Pokémon that can't be caught anywhere else. And who knows, we may be lucky to find a Dragon Pokémon. Every time we catch news of the Safari Zone, it's rumored to have Dratini in the depths of the Safari Zone, but not many have been successful in finding it. I won't try my luck with Dratini though, considering that there is Dragonite Island that comes and goes depending on the ocean's tides. It is a rather mysterious island, but that was where most Dratini can be found. But regardless of the Safari Zone having Dratini or not, it was still one of the biggest places in Kanto to explore, and catch a lot of Pokémon if we're lucky. It had a total of 4 to 5 zones, each containing a different habitat for different kinds of Pokémon. Thanks to the booklet, we were able to get a general idea of the Safari Zone. It was always best to go in with a game plan to one of these areas, as it was easy to get sidetracked in there. It was also the home to the most strongest normal-type Pokémon as well. I was going to personally hunt a Snorlax. Serena decided on a Tauros, while Lily decided on a Kangaskhan. I did already have Porygon, but it didn't hurt to have multiple normal-type Pokémon. Seeing a solid game plan in mind, we chatted the rest of our time over dinner, and the moon soon rose high into the skies. People were still out and about in the big city, but we had a long day ourselves. Our Pokémon were already snoozing away, so the three of us hit the bed, and clocked out early for the night. The next morning came and we woke up pretty early. We just had one thing in mind on today's agenda, and that was having fun in the Safari Zone. We knew it was located in the north part of the city, so that's exactly where we headed. It actually took a good moment to reach there, but we soon saw the city life fade behind us, as the scenery changed to a humongous ranch, sporting different types of habitats. We could see a building off to the side, which we could only assume it was the entrance into the Safari Zone. Unexpected to our anticipation, however, we were greeted with a rather eccentric old fellow, who seemed to be similar age to Professor Oak. Chapter 121, Kaiser. With it still being early in the morning, Serena, Lily, and I woke up with one thing on our minds today. We departed north of Fuchsia City, taking one of the local buses. Unlike Celadon, Fuchsia was one giant hub, so it wasn't hard to get around. We even saw the newly renovated gym along the way. It was in a very similar style to the gyms shown in Pokémon Journeys, so seeing such a large building got us excited along the way. In 3 days when we got off at the last stop, the scenery completely changed, and we soon found ourselves in a giant ranch of sorts, sporting different biomes for different kinds of Pokémon to live and thrive in. So this is the Safari Zone, huh? I think we prepped pretty well with that booklet you showed us, but is it true we can't take our own Pokémon inside? Serena asked with interest. That's right. We'll have to store away our Pokémon before we can enter. But you can already see several different kinds of Pokémon just from standing here, I answered, nodding my head. Pidgey and Pidgeotto could be seen pecking grass. Nidoran lines were frolicking about. In the nearest pond, a Slowpoke could be seen dripping its tail into the pond, hoping to fish something up. A Slowbro could be seen lazing around nearby the pond as well. It seemed this version of the Safari Zone wasn't unique only to the first generation of Pokémon. We could also see some loaded acting as lilies, enjoying sunbathing over the water. While Poliwags and the likes jumped in and out of it. If one looked closely, one could even see a Politoed enjoying some grass further inside. Seeing such a wide variety of Pokémon brought a surprise to us, but a welcomed one. Similar situation to Lavender Town, it seems that regions aren't unique to just the Pokémon they were discovered with. Kind of like how regional variants migrated over time, Pokémon from other regions slowly took root here. After we finish our journey in Kanto, we'll likely come across a similar sentiment in the next region we decided to go to. I know we are halfway through our journey in Kanto. 4 badges remain, and the League Cup will be held at the end of the year. Our current projection is to earn our last 4 badges in these 2 to 3 months, arrive back in Pallet Town to celebrate Ash's coming of age birthday, and bid farewell to him, Gary and Green. They'll have half a year to get their badges, while we have half a year to train and develop strategies use against other trainers in the league. I know that tournament is quite big, since over a couple hundred people partake in it in a single elimination format. It is quite gruesome. That's why we have to make the most of each city that we come across. We should probably head inside, right? Lily's voice said, ending that current thought as we saw her point toward the shack-like building to the west. Before we could do anything though, we heard an aged voice reach our ears, causing us to blink at a figure who we could now seen outside. Humph, took you guys long enough with all that starin'. You comin' in or what? I don't got all day, an aged man said, which drew our attention, sporting a rather heavy accent. Once we got closer, we could actually see that this fellow was armed, which was quite a shock. In regards to weapons and such, I did find out concealed licenses do exist in this world, but it took quite an extensive process to get one. Organizations like Team Rocket do carry one around a lot from what I've seen as well, but they're illegal unlike the proper channel to use. But seeing this aged man up front, he was brazen enough to bear it out in public. Hello, Serena said, giving a polite greeting to the old man. It seems you were expecting us. Sorry about that, Lily said, also feeling a bit apologetic. You 3 fit the description at least. Thank you for actually requesting the appointment to head inside, unlike those rotten bastards. It's easy to tell that you all ain't poachers, the aged man said, welcoming us as we proceeded inside the Safari Zone entrance. Poachers, hey? I'd figure that'd make sense, seeing how wide the Safari Zone is. A bunch of rare Pokémon reside in it too. It must be quite hard dealing with them, I said. Aside from Teach Rocket who poaches Pokémon in their attempts, actual poachers do exist. Thankfully Kanto's rate for poaching isn't as high as other regions may take. All comes with the experience, lad. I can handle them when those bastards do ever decide to take action. Got the cops on my side too. Still, welcome to the Safari Zone. You 3 are the first to come today. Best make most use of it, the aged man said, welcoming us. The room was quite simple, and we saw the exit further into the back which led right into the giant ranch itself. We don't have time limit, do we? Lily questioned. Nah. But once you're out of balls, time's up. You all will get 30 each, no more, no less. No catching the same Pokémon twice either. Gotta make it fair for everyone. It ain't just you youngins doing the Safari Zone. Lots of trainers enter it on a daily basis. Oh, and the name's Kaiser by the way, the aged man said, introducing himself to us. He then pointed off to the side, only to reveal a PC. It wasn't a PC to where we could make calls, but a PC to where we could store our Pokémon. When you guys are ready, go store your Pokémon in the PC. Or if you don't like doing it that way, we have bins to where you can store your Pokeballs too. Don't matter for me, as long as you don't take 'em inside, Kaiser continued to say, causing us to nod our heads. I see. We'll proceed to use the PC. It's nice to meet you by the way, Kaiser. I can't help but notice you look familiar too. Mind if I ask a question? I decided to ask. Shoot away, Kaiser responded, allowing me. You wouldn't happen to know Professor Oak, would you? I asked. Yet the moment I uttered Professor Oak's name, we saw Kaiser let out a long sigh. Do I know him? Kaiser began to say, only to walk toward a dresser off to the side as he let out a sigh. We saw him pick up a picture frame. On it the 3 of us became surprised. It showed a rather young Professor Oak and Kaiser doing field studies in this same location, but the picture itself seemed quite old. He and I used to go on excursions together. I couldn't keep up with his shenanigans no more, and he ended up becoming a professor, while I laid back and became a rancher, Kaiser explained, which drew our interest. So that's what it was. I too worked with Professor Oak for a period. But if you do want to know, he's my grandpa, I said, revealing a smile. You kiddin' me? Someone like him managed to go and form a family of his own eh? Too much time has passed and yet he still doesn't contact me, so I've not bothered. You can tell that old Kaiser is still alive and kicking should you get a chance though, Kaiser said sporting a surprised look of his own. Haha, that we can do, I said, revealing a smile. But even if you are related to that fool, don't expect any discounts, ya hear? Gotta keep this business going smoothly. You all familiar with the rest of the rules, Kaiser said, only to have us nod our heads. We do. There should be certain locations to set up bait to attract the Pokémon in the Safari Zone, right? Lily asked with interest. There is, but it'll be up to you all to find 'em. I don't provide bait for free either. You can buy 'em for an extra fee if you didn't bring any, Kaiser answered. Oh, you needn't worry about that, Serena replied happily. We prepared in coming here, we shouldn't have a problem once we're inside. Itsuki, why don't we go deposit our Pokémon? Serena asked, looking my way. Yes. Let's go do that. I said, nodding my head. With that said, we went to the PC off to the side, and stored away our Pokémon. Kaiser ensured that we no longer had any of our Pokémon on our bodies, and he welcomed us. Closing the door behind, he gave us a rather large belt each, sporting those famous safari balls on each belt. Once we used these up, it was time's up. Either way, it was time to see what the Safari Zone had to offer. After getting acquainted with Kaiser, I did see that he had a picture of a Dratini as well, but I'd figure it was a sensitive topic since he didn't bring it up, so I decided not to bring it up either. Chapter 122, Regional Tauros. After having our Pokémon stored away, the Safari Zone's rancher, Kaiser, who is an acquaintance of Professor Oak, welcomed us. Wishing us good luck, we equipped the ball belts he gave us over our waist, and saw the door close, leaving to our own devices. We were immediately blasted by the scent of nature, coupled with several different kinds of Pokémon noises. This place housed some of the rarest Pokémon, and it was up to a trainer's luck to encounter one. Most trainers like to wander around, but it was quite easy to get lost in this place, considering it was big enough to house forests, small ponds, and even a small lake with a waterfall. Not to mention it had a plains biome as well, for those who enjoyed running freely. Most of this was housed for Tauros, Rapidash, and Ponyta. And perhaps we each had luck to our own. Each area is separated by a zone, and there were 4 or 5 total zones. The 3 of us decided to stay along the main dirt path. Every so often we would come across a device of sorts that acted as a container to put food and berries inside to attract the wild Pokémon here. One could also anger a Pokémon, but let's be real here, who in their bright mind would want to make a Tauros angry? Seeing us on the road once again, we couldn't help but marvel about how many Pokémon there were. Aside from the first pond that had those Slowpoke we saw at the very beginning, there was a larger one toward the center of the Safari Zone. It was quite a ways away, but given enough walking we could approach it. Yet as I gazed upon this small lake for a moment, I couldn't help but look toward the lake for a moment, seeing a bunch of Magikarp and Gyarados swim by. It was hard since we were still on the main dirt path, but a lone fish Pokémon suddenly leapt into the sky. Its color was completely different from the red Magikarp, but was of a similar species. Its body is light brown, and sported blue-colored scales. It only lasted for a moment, as this particular Pokémon jumped back into the small lake. Serena saw that I was currently observing the lake without moving. It looks like something has already caught your eye, Itsuki, Serena asked. I just happened to stumble on a Eevees further out into the lake over here. I didn't think there'd be one here, I responded, with even more anticipation. A Eevees, that's even more rare than a Dratini, isn't it? Lily wondered. By the time she checked out the lake, the Pokémon that appeared on its surface were no longer there. The Eevees was likely swimming back down underwater. It's not spotted frequently, I'd say that much. We're probably going to spend most of our day here, but why don't we drop by the other side of that lake as we reach it? I'd love to try a fish up a Eevees, I said. Fishing, hey? That doesn't sound bad. We can explore the first couple zones and make our way to the 4th one on the other end of the lake for lunch. My current interest is our next zone, Serena said, nodding her head. That works for me. I'm looking to catch both Kangaskhan and a Chansey too. I'd love to see if there are any fighting types around here too, Lily said, saying where her interests lay. I am not sure if I'll find a Snorlax here, but my best bet would be those shady trees in the 3rd and 4th zone. Snorlax are said to sleep most of the day. Better there than the open plains before us, I said, only to look at the 2nd zone again. Before we could even do anything, beyond another fence that led into the rolling plains, we all heard a rumbling sound, only for several figures to come out dashing from the right side. The tiny scattered rocks were vibrating next to our feet thanks to the rumbling. Which made sense, as there were several Pokémon currently dashing over our view. There were likely 20 or 30 of them too. All of them made a mooing noise. We were seeing what was likely Ash's future herd of Tauros currently dashing before us. All of the other Pokémon made way for them, as they didn't want to get trampled over. There was even a Miltank or two watching on as these Tauros blasted through the plains like they owned the place. As they did, I saw excitement appear in Serena's eyes. And at the same time, her head quickly turned toward a particular area among the herd of Tauros. It was hard to see this far away and with the glare of the sun beating down on the grass, but one of these Tauros appeared to be a pale green color. It seems Serena was quick to spot it. "That's a shiny Tauros, isn't it?" Serena asked with anticipation. "It sure was. What luck to find one too. We should head to Zone 2. From the way those Tauros are running, they are either going to stop and get a drink or rest in the shade of the trees nearby," I tried to say, only to have something else quickly catch our attention on top of the shiny Tauros we just saw. "That is," Lily also tried to say, only to have her eyes become confused. In fact, all three of us became confused. We saw another smaller herd of Tauros let out another round of mooing, but we could only blink at them. These Tauros were dark grey and pitch black, completely the opposite of what the other Tauros were. If one had a close look at these black Tauros, some had red specks while others had blue specks over their manes. "Have you two ever seen black Tauros before?" Lily asked, still doubting what she just saw right now. As she asked that, we saw this herd of black Tauros head off toward the side to where the main herd was. It almost appeared, as if they were outcasted by the others. In the far distance, we saw the main Tauros herd ignore them, only to have the black Tauros lay down by themselves further away. I guess not all kinds of the same Pokémon behaved with one another, hey? I for one have not. They still appear to be Tauros. I'm getting a very familiar feeling with them too. This behavior is very similar to how our Vulpix are. The Vulpix Lily has and the 9 tails I have are from the Alola region, while yours is from here in Kanto, Serena. These Tauros could very well be regional forms, I said with a muse. A regional variant? That's starting to make sense. Aren't they typically only found in the region they changed though? Serena also wondered. That poaching story is starting to make me more questionable on the matter. But it isn't far-fetched to say that these Tauros could have migrated from their homeland. Or that some poachers were very unlucky and Kaiser rescued them, I also wondered to myself. Hehe, best to go see for ourselves. Even if these Tauros are of a different region, they're still here in the Safari Zone. And that means they're up for grabs, Serena replied, revealing a grin. I wasn't expecting such a thing either. I did happen to spot those color differences too, maybe I should catch one, Lily wondered with interest. I don't see a problem if we each catch one, but we should hurry up before their resting ends. I should probably call Professor Oak about these regional variants too. I wasn't expecting to call him again for a while, but I guess it's sooner than I anticipated, I surmised. Didn't Professor Oak say he would be unavailable for a while too? Something about a trip, Serena asked, tilting her head a bit. There was that, wasn't there? Hopefully he'll be able to pick up. Thankfully our Pokédexes can act as a phone should we need it. I hear there are talks of upgrading Pokédexes as well to improve its functionality like that. Turns out there's a Pokémon who can help with it, I responded. We can reach out to Professor Oak once we reach those trees in the distance. The fence gate is open, so we should head to the second zone, Lily said, acknowledging me. And that we definitely did. We continued on the main dirt path that lead directly into the third zone, probably about halfway down. Serena couldn't contain her excitement anymore and immediately dashed off to where the normal herd of Tauros were for drinking some water. It seems she wanted to go see if that shiny Tauros was still over there. I guess that leaves the regional variants to Lily and I. We quickly glanced at each other with similar intent, and we quickly dashed off the main path, heading toward the trees to where those few black Tauros were. And sure enough, when we approached them, they could be seen enjoying some rest time in the shade. They really were different from the other Tauros. Their gazes shifted our way seeing us approach, but seeing us not walk any closer, they positioned themselves again, only to calmly watch us. It was a bit hard to see, but we could see reluctance in these Tauros' eyes, quickly catching glances at the other herd. Maybe they really were being left out. We don't even know how long these Tauros have been in this safari zone. Makes me wonder if other trainers have already caught some of this herd. We should look to catch one of each, but before deciding to throw our first round of safari balls, I let Lily know I was going to contact Professor Oak with the Pokédex. I grabbed it out of my pocket, and opened it up. Working its buttons, the Pokédex started to send a signal out, proceeding to call. Chapter 123, Liko. Meanwhile, as a tanned man wearing a simple blue shirt and black trousers sporting short brown hair and blonde-haired woman tied into a ponytail sporting a one-piece white blouse who were not too far away from a few Tauros that appeared completely black instead of the usual white Tauros in Fuchsia City's safari zone. Off the coast of the Kalos region. Leading off the small peninsula, a single large island could be seen floating in the water. This was a naturally formed island, and one that has been inhabited by both humans and Pokémon for centuries. It is quite a ways off from the mainland, and its closest point of contact was the Kalos region. Aside from this small peninsula, the only thing that separated the two was a large body of water, the ocean. This particular island was the land of the Paldea region. A city rich in culture and Pokémon alike, spanning centuries of years. It wouldn't be so far-fetched to say this island was one of the oldest land masses within the world of Pokémon. But back then, it was just a single large crater. Now, it has blossomed into a full-blown island, with many inhabitants. Many tourists would try to venture here just to try out its unique food it had to offer. Paldea sported some of the most unique sandwiches that weren't found in other regions, just like how the Alola Islands had malasadas. Still, the land of Paldea was bustling with activity, just as any other region was. To the south of the deep crater that made Paldea to what it is today, a large city could be seen. This city was built at the foot of the crater to act as a hub for all of its citizens. Geographically, this city was at the center of Paldea. Paldea didn't really have a capital city unlike the other regions, but this particular city could be seen as such. This was the city of Mesagoza, and it was one of the largest populated cities not only to Paldea, but to the rest of the regions as well. Mesagoza acted as a hub for every single trainer who lived in Paldea. After all, for one to become a trainer here, one must need to attend school. Unlike other regions, school was mandatory for aspiring trainers here. And Mesagoza, acting as the region's hub, built its famous trainer school right on the tip of the giant crater. This school was the Eevee Academy. And a certain person with a hurried look on their faces as they held on to a school bag strapped over their shoulders could currently be seen in a dash, with a hurried look in their eyes. Geez, I told Mom to wake me up early. She even had an excited look in her eyes after saying I got a summons from the director. Don't tell me, did they really approve my request? The figure, who appeared to be a girl in her teens sporting short-cut black hair that extended beneath her chin, said as a look of anticipation appeared in her eyes. This girl was named Liko, and she was an aspiring trainer as were everyone else on Paldea who had received acceptance to this academy. Yet Liko in particular seemed to have received a request to stop by the director's office, which was located on the third floor of the large campus. It wasn't every day one would receive a call from the director himself, who led the academy. Their family sent in a request to the student board a while back, and the result had finally come in. It made sense for Liko to have an anticipated look in her eyes. One could even call it a look of excitement. Passing by the large circular square, Liko soon found herself rushing up the steps of Eevee Academy. She saw fellow classmates and Pokémon alike. She was well into her current school year, and they had already received Pokémon to train with. There was a certain course where each student would receive a partner Pokémon during their stay on campus. This didn't happen for everyone though, as the main condition to use such a Pokémon was to bond with it. Those who couldn't bond with these Pokémon would not be allowed to use them until they caught one of their own after their journeys began. And Liko was one of them. No matter what Pokémon she tried out during her classes, she has not found a suitable Pokémon yet for her. As she reached the large doors that lead into the entrance hall, she glanced at other students, only for her look of anticipation to change to longing. Despite being over halfway into her term, she truly desired a Pokémon, much like everyone else. Liko could only shrug that thought away for a moment, as she had a pressing matter to attend to. She quickly opened the large doors, only to find herself at the reception. The entrance hall was the academy's hub. It connected several rooms and buildings to where each classroom was to their own. It also housed a library in its core. It was a spiraling building, with several bookshelves on each floor. Ignoring other students and faculty members alike reaching for their books for viewing, Liko saw herself at the center of the entrance hall. She could see a couple of tanned receptionists, sporting smiles on their faces. The center soon greeted Liko as she arrived. "Well, if it isn't Lady Liko. How can we help you today?" the center receptionist said, greeting Liko. "I heard the director is looking for me," Liko asked, letting herself cool down as she sprinted here from her home. Thankfully Liko didn't live too far away from Uva Academy, but she thought she arrived late. Seeing the receptionist behave like this otherwise, it looks like Liko didn't need to worry about that. One moment please. Let me see if the director has any scheduled appointments today, the receptionist said, only to proceed to her computer. After typing for a couple moments, that allowed Liko to catch her breath. It didn't take long before the receptionist looked back at Liko and spoke to her. You're in luck, Lady Liko. Your scheduled appointment with the director is in 10 minutes, so you've just arrived on time. It'll be on the 3rd floor on the left. The director is quite a busy man, so please behave yourself, okay, the receptionist asked. Understood. Thank you, Liko responded, only to let out a sigh of relief. Grabbing a hold of her school bag on her shoulder, Liko parted from the receptionist, only to make her way up 2 large staircases on the left side, leading into the leftmost wing of the entrance hall. As she climbed higher, she felt a wave of nervousness strike her mind. Are they really just going to let me meet with the director just like this? Don't tell me they actually approved my parents' request, Liko said, wondering to herself. It didn't take her long to find herself at the leftmost room. It was gated off as were all the other entrances into the other classrooms. Uva Academy's security was quite tight. Unless one had a student ID or was part of faculty, it was quite hard to get inside. She flashed her ID, and the small gate opened. After going down the hall, Liko soon found herself in front of a door. Knowing that the person behind this whole academy is just behind these doors, Liko's nervousness remained. She took a moment to lightly clap her cheeks with her hands, only for them to appear rosy after. You can do this, Liko, Liko said, trying to encourage herself. She then reached out her hand, proceeding to knock on the director office's door. You wanted to see me, director? Liko asked as she knocked. Anticipation could be seen in her eyes as she knocked on the door. Chapter 124, Exchange Student. Yes. You can come in, an aged voice answered Liko. Nodding her head, she slowly opened the door. Seeing a couple rows of closed see-through cabinets lined out containing various study materials, she couldn't help but blink seeing a lot of stuff scattered around. Liko continued to walk in amazement, only to see the director of Uva Academy sitting behind his desk. Yet she couldn't help but blink her eyes again, as she saw the director wasn't alone. 2 familiar people currently stood beside him, both appearing to be professors. Please tell me I didn't come at the wrong time, Liko began to say, feeling a bit guilty seeing the director not alone. Hearing Liko say this, the director chuckled. Ho ho, no need to worry about that, Lady Liko. You did arrive at the appointed time. I do apologize that I have a couple guests with me. I did not inform you ahead of time, the director said with a smile. Why you don't need to apologize for me, Liko immediately retorted. Haha, so this is the one, eh? I'm sure my grandson wouldn't mind picking this little lass up once she arrives in Kanto. It is better to have a familiar face with you in a foreign land, the person on the left said. Hearing him say that caused the other professor on the right to nod his head as well. That I can agree with, Professor Oak. Tackling going out to whole new land by yourself is quite a challenge. Still, it's pretty rare for you to agree on a foreign exchange student transfer like this, Director Clavell, the professor on the right said with a nod of their head. You think so, Professor Sycamore? It is not the first time for Uva Academy to do this, nor it is the last, the director named Clavell said, tilting his head a bit, musing to what the professor on the right just said. As this quick conversation was exchanged between the 3, it took a moment for Liko to understand what just happened. Yet as she began to realize, Liko's eyes began to sparkle. Wait, you can't mean, Liko tried to say, only to have the director's face bloom into a full smile seeing Liko react like this. Congratulations are in order, Lady Liko. I have just signed off on your transfer papers this morning. You are set to depart for Kanto to the Indigo Academy in Viridian City tomorrow morning, Director Clavell declared, only to cause Liko to smile in happiness. Yes, Liko happily answered Director Clavell, seeing that the director has approved her family's request to initiate a study abroad. The destination their family had was Kanto no less either, to where a certain trio was currently undergoing a journey in collecting badges to partake in the Indigo League. Yet that excitement seemed to last only for a moment as Liko saw the director lean forward, only to rest his 2 shoulders on his desk, folding his hands together. He then spoke out to Liko in a more serious tone. You understand the condition set in place for this transfer to occur, don't you, Lady Liko? Director Clavell asked seriously. When Director Clavell said that, it helped Liko calm her excitement down, only to proceed to nod her head. Yes, Director, Liko answered in acknowledgement. Good. You will use this opportunity to try and discover yourself. It will be your treasure hunt. I have noticed that you have been lacking in your determination to find out what you want to become compared to our other students. I do hope this will be a good learning opportunity for you, Director Clavell said as his hands were over his chin. Yes, Liko said, as determination appeared in her eyes. However, Director Clavell immediately retorted Liko, continuing to speak. That is not the condition we have placed for you to take part in our study abroad program. Lady Liko, it is time for you to choose your partner, Director Clavell immediately declared after seeing Liko's determination in her eyes. Is it really ready for me to choose my partner? None of the Pokémon that have been handed out in classes so far were able to bond with me, Liko said, feeling a bit disheartened after hearing the condition. Not all Pokémon work out for everyone. But similar to how our students would go out on their own treasure hunt, we have suitable Pokémon for such occasions. They are typically not given out during classes, but for when one starts their own journey to discovery, Director Clavell said, reassuring Liko. Liko then turned toward Professor Oak, who was still on his left. Professor Oak, you have the Pokémon ready, right? Director Clavell asked him. I sure do. Each region has their starting Pokémon, and Paldea is no less. You will have 3 Pokémon to choose from today, Liko. But likewise, once you have chosen your partner, I have my own condition as well, which is to save one of the remaining 2 for my grandson to receive, once you are on the other side, ho ho, Professor Oak said in acknowledgement. Hearing that, Liko felt a bit nervous again, only to get a good look at Professor Oak. I understand. But you wouldn't happen to be that Professor Oak, right? The one who allows many trainers to start their own journey in Kanto, Liko tried to ask, still not believing Professor Oak was still standing before her. The one and only. Are you sure you're up for such a daunting task though, Liko? It'll likely be your first time going abroad like this. Your parents won't be there for you, Professor Oak also asked seriously. I am. I've always wanted to see what the outside world has in store for me. I'm sure there will be many fun adventures waiting, Liko said as sparkles appeared in her eyes. And is it true that one of your own is already on their journey, Professor? Liko decided to ask. Ho ho, they sure are, along with a couple friends of his. He doesn't know it yet, but I don't think he would mind it. After all, he'll be receiving a Pokémon from Paldea to become one of his partners, like how I gave him one of Kanto's Pokémon to start his journey. It'll make it easier for you, right, Liko? I hope you won't mind it. I just need to reach out to my grandson to let him know to pick you up, Professor Oak tried to answer Liko. Yet at this time, the 4 of them in the director's office suddenly began to hear a caller notification sound off in the room. Only to come from Professor Oak's pocket. My apologies, Director Clavell, Professor Oak said, as he scratched his cheek a bit. None taken. I know you are quite a busy man yourself, Professor Oak, Director Clavell said, nodding his head. Not everyone calls you on your direct line though, so you probably should pick it up, Professor Sycamore also said as interest appeared in his eyes. You are right about that. Please pardon me for a moment, Professor Oak said, only to reach into his robe, only to pull out a phone. Aside from Pokédexes, technology has started to quickly advance in each region. Even wireless phones were now available for public use. And if one had equipment set up nearby, one could even hook it up to a monitor for a video call, much like one can video call through the PCs at Pokémon centers. With Professor Oak doing his magic, it didn't take long for the couple of big monitors set off to the side to light up. On one of them appeared a screen. Professor Oak immediately smiled seeing who the caller ID was. Yet the moment the image became clear, he couldn't help but blink as he saw a tan brown-haired man and a blonde pearly white-skinned woman appear on video. Professor Oak immediately took notice of the two's surroundings, as did Director Clave and Professor Sycamore. The 2 were clearly outside, and not inside a building. Well, if it isn't Itsuki, my boy. I only see one of the 2 lasses is with you. The other one off having some fun, Professor Oak asked, seeing me appear on screen. Hey there, Gramps, I replied, as I couldn't help but blink seeing where Professor Oak currently was. It appeared, he was in an office of sorts. And he was not alone either. Chapter 125, Meeting Director Clavell. It's nice to see you again, Professor Oak, Lily also said, greeting him. We aren't interrupting something, are we? I asked. It's mostly over. But it wouldn't hurt to introduce you guys, Professor Oak answered. Introduce us, I blinked for a moment. When I said that, Lily and I saw the white-haired man who seemed to be dressed in a fancy suit, stand up from his chair. This aged man slowly walked toward us, only to arrive next to Professor Oak. You must be that grandson of Professor Oak's. The famous little professor. It is nice to meet you like this, even if it isn't quite in person, Director Clavell said, revealing a smile as he spoke out to us. You know me? I asked. I have not seen this person. But seeing this aged man appear this way, he must be someone, right? Ho ho, how could I not? Your thesis on how Pokémon behave depending on how they're raised or where they grow up in their habitats is quite remarkable in the research field. Not only that, but you were one of the youngest to become a professor as of late, the aged man said, giving me acknowledgement. Were Pokémon natures really that big of a hit when I submitted that thesis? Thinking that, I scratched my cheek again, only to see him continue to speak. But where are my manners? You can call me Director Clavell. I run the Eevee Academy here in the Paldea region. We're currently in my office, actually, Director Clavell said as he introduced himself to us. Surprise reached our eyes as we finally learned who this man was. Paldea region, didn't you say you were going there, Professor Oak? Lily asked as she blinked her eyes. I sure am here, in fact. Just got off the plane not too long ago. Professor Sycamore is here as well, Professor Oak said, only for us to blink at the third figure further in the back. Seeing the little scruffs of hair on his chin, I immediately knew this was Professor Sycamore. It's nice to see you again, Professor Itsuki. The data that you've been sending me with your Mega Ring has been quite helpful. It sounds like you've been fortuitous already, Professor Sycamore said. A Mega Ring? So he's one of your recipients then. That is quite nice if I must say so myself, Director Clavell said, musing as he heard that. Liko tried to interrupt. Seeing as the whole conversation was continuing without her with a few influential figures in the room, her eyes started to spin a bit, unable to keep up with them. Oh, right. Weren't you going to ask your grandson, Professor Oak? Director Clavell asked, only to look back at Liko. It was only now that I saw a girl in her early teens further into the back, sporting lush black short hair. It seems Lily also took notice of her. Ask me what? I decided to ask, feeling interested in what Director Clavell said. Well, you see, Liko here has been approved to study abroad for the remainder of her term this year. She'll be attending Indigo Academy in Viridian City, but on top of that, she'll be initiating a treasure hunt, and journey out in Kanto. Don't you worry though, both Director Clavell here approved it and it was approved by the Indigo League as well. She's still early to partake in a full journey, but she'll be able to attend the Indigo League, should she earn all the badges, haha, Professor Oak declared, causing surprise to reach our eyes again. So that was the case. You must be a student here in Eevee then. It's nice to meet you, Liko, I said, seeing the black-haired girl walk closer to the screen. Yes. I hear you are going to pick me up when I arrive in Kanto, Liko asked as she blinked her eyes at us. I couldn't help but shift my head back to Professor Oak when I heard that. So that's the part you failed to mention Gramps, I said, retorting him while squinting my eyes a bit. Ho ho, don't take it the wrong way, Itsuki. I was going to get to that part next. It's not like doing this isn't granting you any favors either. I told Director Clavell here I had a condition if you were to pick up Liko back in Viridian City, Professor Oak said, explaining the situation to us. A condition? Hey, what is it? I asked with interest. We were about to get to that part, actually, before you dropped in on this meeting. You two haven't seen Paldea Pokémon yet, have you? Director Clavell asked with interest as well. Paldea Pokémon? Can't say for sure. We did come across something a bit unexpected, Lily answered, only to become more confused herself. Hearing that, Director Clavell blinked his eyes, only to cause me to nod my head. That's actually why we wanted to talk to you about, Gramps. Have you ever seen a black Tauros before? I decided to ask, which caused Professor Oak to blink. A black Tauros, Professor Oak wondered if he had seen something along those lines. Yet as he began to think, we saw Director Clavell speak out to us. A black Tauros, you wouldn't have a video of it, Would you, Professor Itsuki? Director Clavell decided to ask. I nodded my head in confirmation. I moved my Pokédex around for a bit. They saw that we were in a wild area of sorts. Professor Oak could only guess it was the Safari Zone. As I zoomed in on my camera, it showed a clearer picture of a few black Tauros, each sporting red and blue spots on their manes respectively. There's no doubt about it now. That's definitely a Paldean Tauros. But how on earth did they wander all the way to Kanto? Director Clavell said, as he was unsure himself. Lily and I aren't sure either. It's possible they could have migrated all the way here to the Safari Zone, or it could be that Mr.'s story is starting to become more likely. Oh, Kaiser says hi, Gramps, I said, only to look back at Professor Oak again. Hearing that name, Professor Oak laughed a bit. Ho ho, now there's a name I haven't heard in ages. You two are definitely in the Safari Zone all right. Have there been any other abnormalities or is it just these Paldean Tauros? Professor Oak asked. We haven't seen anything else for the moment, but we'll keep an eye out. We just wanted to inform you, Gramps. We are thinking of catching a couple of Paldean Tauros to add to our team. But I didn't think we'd get to meet the director of Yuva Academy all the way in Paldea. Oh, and it is nice to see you again, Professor Sycamore. I'll definitely continue to use the Mega Ring as we do our back half of the Kanto region. But I guess those plans might be interrupted for a bit. When did you say your flight was? It was Liko, right? I asked, looking back at the black-haired girl. That's right. I do apologize for taking some of your time for this, Professor. I hope I'm not intruding too much. The director said the flight leaves tomorrow morning, so the plane will probably be arriving in Kanto in the evening or the next day, Liko said, feeling a bit apologetic. So soon, I retorted, raising my eyes again. Yes. But back to what I was trying to point out earlier, apart from that matter of the Paldean Tauros, you haven't come across any Paldean Pokémon yet, have you, Itsuki? Professor Oak asked me, to which I shook my head. Can't say that I have. But the way you're going with this don't tell me, I began to say as anticipation appeared in my eyes. Ho ho, looks like even the little professor is eager to see what kind of Pokémon our students start with to go out on their treasure hunt. Lady Liko here was going to pick out her starting Pokémon to use as she travels around Kanto. How about it, Professor Itsuki? Are you up for choosing one as well? Director Clavell asked with interest. You mean it? I asked, feeling surprised when I heard that. Consider it an advanced payment for making sure Liko here makes it to Indigo Academy. And if you want, I could have the girl beside you receive the last one. But wasn't there a third person with you too? Director Clavell wondered. Hearing him say that, Lily and I looked at each other. The four then saw us change our gazes over to where the other Tauros in the background were. We soon heard a laughter reach out ears, only to see Serena's figure pop up out in the open, but she wasn't alone. A green pale-colored Tauros could be seen with her, and in fact she was currently riding on top of it. Well, it looks like over on Serena's end, she managed to catch what she went to go find, and it was the soul shiny Tauros, no less.
Thanks for listening.